Watch me as the raindrops keep a-rolling down my back. Stay here in the last car as the train rolls down the track. Forgive me, don't forget me, or the good times from our past. Hear me when I tell you that this train ride will be our last train ride. Last train ride. Forgive me, don't forget me, or the good times from our past. Hear me when I tell you that this train ride will be our last train ride. Last train ride. Last train ride. Save your heart.
Where's the claps?
Yeah, if or whatever we want to do.
Do another one.
Do another one. All right. Hop right into another. This one goes out to my wife out in Astoria. This is one of her favorites. Melancholy Saturday. Sift through all the vanity, try to keep your sanity, attempting not to raise your voice, feeling you don't have a choice. Cars drive down the boulevard, no one told you life was hard. Hard for some, but less for you. Lights can have their shadows too. Melancholy Saturday, wishing you would all just go away. Melancholy Saturday, we're all actors in a tragic play. Can Don't look down, you look depressed. Don't show off your underdress. Don't look up, you'll be let down. Don't you scowl, cry, or frown. Don't speak up, they'll silence you. Don't have feelings lest you do. Don't suppress, you might explode. Don't progress, don't be so bold. Melancholy Saturday drapes your way through sadness and dismay. Melancholy Saturday, wishing it would all just go away. Can't find respite now. Can you show me how? Normal people manage to survive. Can't find respite now. Can you show me how? Normal people manage to survive. Melancholy Saturday drapes your way through sadness and dismay.
Oh gosh.
Yes! Woohoo! Alright, I gotta set everything up here and then back. Here we are.
There we are.
Hey everyone!
Hey everyone, welcome in, welcome in.
Put some background music in here. There we go. Nice and subtle. Alright, so this is a whole new setup for me. We're working through it all. New designs, new layouts, new routing, audio routing. So we're gonna try to see if we can do a lot more of like in-person interviews because this is fun, you know.
This is the first time since quarantine we've had so many podcasts, and they've all been with people all around the world, and it's been like, wow, like this is the first time I'm actually here, like face to face.
There's no wall here.
No, and we're not on Discord. I feel like I'm low. Am I low?
You want to lean a little bit more into the mic, or you can scooch in more towards him if you want. Yeah.
Usually, well, yeah. Now we don't have to be six feet apart, I guess.
Yeah. And chat, you guys are audio techs because we're gonna need some, make sure you guys can hear everything because this is a new layout for me as well to tinker with. So let me know if anything needs to come up or down. I'm relying on you, chat.
Can I get this one for a second? Okay. So I just don't want to scream or anything. So guys, thanks for being here. Tonight we have something very different, okay? Because we've been doing these podcasts for 3 years. This is the third year, right? So now it's like a whole different type of vibe in 2022. So I hope you guys like the new layout. It's very futuristic. Luna did all the graphics, okay? So we got to give it up to Luna. He did the intro. The song you're listening to right now was created by Luna Satori, and it's the podcast intro song. So, so tonight we're doing something different. We're starting to have in-studio, in-home podcast, and tonight we have someone that has, I'm telling you, like, not only a beautiful voice, super mega talented with the skills for Miles. And I'm talking about Miles because his name is Miles Blue Spruce, and he's right next to me right here, this amazing man right here. as you can see, New Yorker here, right here, in here with us, and I'm just like, in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, like this could go either way, really, really good, or it could just be like a bust, because we're so used to doing them for 3 years now. And so, how do you feel, Luna? You feel like different now that you have to set up everything in person?
I'm a little nervous.
We haven't been streaming since this is our first one and the first in-house one, so it feels a little different. It does feel a little different. So, Miles, thank you so much for coming tonight.
I'm so happy to be here.
I really love your performance. We've seen you perform live, and we're gonna really dive into how we met him, because it's a big story, and it kind of goes and flows. And so his band, Blue Spruce, is a New York City band, right?
That's correct.
And I want to start from the very beginning, because I love going into the history of each artist. And so you play guitar, you sing, beautiful voice, and you also play saxophone, right?
Yes, that is
Multi-
mainly what I do in Blue
instrumental
Spruce.
guys.
Yeah.
And was that your first? What was your first instrument?
My first instrument was saxophone.
Okay.
And that one came way before all the others. That one I started playing back in when I was in 4th grade, so when I was about 9 years old, and this tall.
Oh, you was a baby.
Yeah, there's some great photos of me like being barely able to reach like the bottom of the saxophone because I was just so small. But I picked the saxophone to play for my elementary school band, and that's what I started with.
And how many years did you feel like you needed to play until you got really, really good at it? Because you play saxophone really well.
Yeah. Thank you. It was a long time, and there's still moments where I feel like I am not where I would like to be with it. I've kind of wrestled with that for a number of years now, actually. Because when I started, it was just for band in school, and my parents were like, okay, well, if you're going to do this, you need to commit to it. So they got me a private teacher. They went through a couple different private teachers to make sure that it was like a good fit, and I was doing, and I was actually classically trained on saxophone, not like for jazz or what people typically associate with saxophone. So my background with it was sort of kind of niche, which I didn't realize back then because I didn't listen to a lot of music. I was just like, playing it more classically and less, verbose, like you might experience in jazz. And then it wasn't until high school that it was all, sight reading, knowing how to read music. I did it all the traditional proper way. And then when I got to high school and all of a sudden I was in a jazz band and I was asked to like improvise and stuff like that, it was just like I didn't know what to do if it wasn't like right there on the page. And now I'm in pretty much the polar opposite, where it's like I can still read music, I don't do it very frequently because I look at tabs for guitar sometimes, but for the most part it's just what sounds good, what notes work together, and I just kind of go from there. So came from totally different worlds for the different instruments that I play, and I didn't pick up my second instrument until high school a few years later, which was drums, strangely enough, and then I just kind of moved. Yeah,
okay.
Not on your
sense.
level, but yeah.
Drummer too. Okay,
yeah.
now.
Come at me, bro.
Yeah. I'm not gonna do a drum off live on not against
I got
you.
the kit there. Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh man, so like actually we could put him behind there and see what he could do.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I won't put you on the spot. You're always welcome to come back and show us your drum skills.
Oh
too.
yeah. I'll pretty much play whatever instrument you throw in front of me for the most part. Because like it started with sax, then it went to drums, then I picked up like piano and keyboard, just kind of going all over the place, and eventually like guitar and bass was where I felt a little bit more comfortable. Like writing songs on guitar felt a little bit more comfortable, so then I kind of settled more into that. But whenever I need to do something on saxophone, I just kind of pick it up, even if I haven't played it for like a couple months, and I'll just start playing. I'm just like, okay, yeah, this is. And whenever people hear me play saxophone, they're always like, why are you playing anything else? Like this is what you're supposed. So that's why I've had this kind of love-hate relationship with it over the years, where it's just like I don't want people to hear me play it because then that's all they want me to play, and at times I'm tired of it, but other times it's just like, you know, it's what I'm good at, and it's what I can make the best music with sometimes.
So what's your favorite instrument? What's your instrument of choice that you feel like you hone the most and feel the most empowered playing?
That's a good question. I would actually probably say either drums or bass. Drums.
Bass. Oh, the rhythm section.
The rhythm section,
my
yeah.
favorite section right there.
Yeah, no, because with bass, it's like, you know, I don't mind repetition. So like playing the same thing over and over again, it like doesn't bother me, and it's just like, you know, I'm happy to be there. I'm happy to play. I'm happy to, you know, be on the stage, but not always necessarily be the main focus, which is funny because I'm the front man of Blue Spruce, but
I always joke about it how drummers secretly always want to be the singer.
Oh yeah,
Right?
yeah. It was definitely that case. I think in Franz Ferdinand, the drummer was like, make sure the cymbals are low so you can still see my face, because he had been a model when he was younger. So I don't quite have that vibe,
Okay.
but
But they are the loudest usually, and they usually have
Yes.
the biggest personality. You know, I've had mostly a lot of drummers on the podcast. So it's like I've noticed that that's a repetition type of thing that I've noticed every time. They're like, well, yeah, we're all just like in the back. So when they play on Twitch and they become a Twitch streamer, I'm like, well, now you're in the front. Now you're the actual main, you know, feature, and you're doing it.
Yeah.
So I know with quarantine we did do more YouTube videos. So he does YouTube videos, and he, you know, obviously he goes live. What is it? Is it YouTube your main social media where you post a lot, like when it comes to social media? Because for quarantine, he did have a lot of videos there.
Yeah,
that
I did the social isolation sessions were what they were, and that was where it was like, okay, well, I can't play on a stage, so I'll just play in my living room. You know, I think a lot of people switched to that kind of mode, and. You
Without
know, just,
gigs, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to, you know, you want to keep making content. You want to keep on creating.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's one thing I've definitely always been driven by, both with music or art, or you know, I've always liked to create things from before I even played music too. Like, you know, all sorts of different aspects. Like, you know, the games that I would play, or the you know, the computer games that I would play was always like it was always like Roller Coaster Tycoon or Sims or something. Like,
I love
it was
those
all about
too.
it was all about creating things.
Right,
I always liked those
building.
rather than like, you know, like the shooter games. Also, my parents wouldn't let me play. I know that I think my dad is either watching or he was watching. So if he is watching,
Hey,
Dad. it's you know, partially his and my mom's influence probably in there too for creating, because my mom's an artist. My dad did architecture for many years, so there's definitely a
that's
lot of that
amazing.
influence too. But
he's a rock star in himself, right? He's building buildings over there.
yeah,
doing
yeah,
all that. That's
building all the
amazing.
fancy custom roller coasters in Roller Coaster Tycoon. But yeah, it was always about creating stuff. So when it came to music, I had to. And yeah, when quarantine hit, it was just, you know, I wanted to keep creating, keep doing stuff. So I instantly tried to, you know, kind of mobilize the band. Like, you know, this isn't it, guys. Like, we can still do stuff. Like, you know, just send me audio of you playing stuff, and we can put it together. I'm an audio engineer. We could do this. Like, you know, we can make this happen. So definitely our output on YouTube increased significantly. We had like a whole schedule for a little while, which kind of fell off once I had to go back to working my day job in person, but it was a lot of fun.
So you didn't quit your day job yet? You
No,
never did?
I have not, because I also enjoy and have fun with my day job too.
That's important.
Yeah.
That's
oh,
great.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's very important, yeah. But I definitely enjoy it, and if anybody from work is watching, hello, see you guys tomorrow. I know I invited a couple work friends to
If you guys are
tune
on
in.
Twitch and you want to write any questions in chat, please feel free. Go ahead, give your questions to Miles, because that's what we got him here for. You guys want to, you know, ask him any questions or let us know anything that maybe we should know, that, you know, no embarrassing stories though. But we'll get to stories about that later.
Yeah.
Because right now we're going into like, okay, so you started with saxophone.
Yes.
And you play beautiful piano too. So the piano came after then.
Yes,
After
the piano
bass.
came afterwards, because I was used to with saxophone, it's purely melodic. You can't play more than one note at a time. So the world of piano was interesting because that was the first time I was ever doing anything with chords and being like, ooh, harmony, you know. chord progressions, things like that. I'd never, you know, I hadn't experienced that before. You know, with drums also, you don't really get that sense of harmony. So piano was interesting for that, and you know, playing multiple notes at the same time, and you know, it was a step closer to, you know, starting to write songs, because for most of the time that I was only playing saxophone, I didn't really write very much. That came later, you know. So my earliest compositions were on piano, but then once I started playing guitar, it was much more of a floodgate of tunes came about.
So what age did you write your first song, like that you actually started discovering that you really like to sing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say it was probably the first real song it is actually a Blue Spruce song. I might play it later.
Okay.
It's I think the oldest Blue Spruce song. It's called Exactly Like You, and I think I was at the end, like towards the end of high school, so it was probably like 2011, something like that. And we were up in Vermont. Me and my family were doing like a house swap with some friends up there, and they had a, like, you know, it was in Cabot, Vermont, where they make the cheese. You know, the Cabot cheese factory is there, and Ben and Jerry's isn't too far away either. But
Ben and Jerry's.
yeah, I know the stories about that too, but
what's your favorite flavor?
Oh god,
Chad, put your favorite flavor of Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah.
Chocolate chunk.
I like the cherry one. I think berry cherry or something.
Oh yeah, but yeah, they have great names too. Yeah. I go for the what's it called? The peanut butter cup is one of my faves.
Yeah, because they have
personally.
real peanut butter cups.
Actual peanut butter cups in it, yeah, and peanut butter ice cream. It's great, but. I was in this house, and they had an old barn in the back with a loft, and they had like just a few instruments like hanging around, and I think I brought my saxophone with me on the trip to, you know, keep practicing and stuff like that, but there was an acoustic guitar up there, and I had never really played guitar, and I just started, like, you know, trying to pluck the strings a little bit, and you know, I had a very simplistic way of recording back then, and because I wasn't good enough at guitar to properly play it, I recorded each note separately and then edited them together into what I wanted them to be. So it took like far too long to, you know, record the original demo of this song, and then it ended up getting, you know, completely re-recorded, of course, later. It's on our first album, Intended Memories, which you can find all over the place. But
I love that name too, Intended Memories. That's a beautiful, like, title for an album.
Yeah, I was really happy when it came to me, because a lot of the songs, it kind of mixes older songs that I had written and some newer songs too. So it was sort of like, you know, the idea of memories that you want to remember, like, you know, sort of picking the things that you want to remember about the past, sort of like, you know, a sense of nostalgia. There's a lot of nostalgia in a lot of those songs. I wouldn't say Exactly Like You is a particularly nostalgic song, but it's considering the very serene kind of landscape that they have up in Vermont, it's
inspiring.
Quite not quite. It's more of a kind of a depressing lullaby in a
Really?
way. Yeah, it's you know, it's sort of all about how we strive to all be different, but we end up just being the same, and, you know, everybody
wants to please everyone else, because we're all like trying to be in this conditioned world where everyone wants to be like accepted but loved.
Yeah. And but it sort of is just like, you know, you try to be an individual, but really that's what everybody's trying to do. So, you know, you're stuck in that, but it has this very kind of lullaby quality to it. But then when you listen to the words, it's just like, oh, okay, Miles.
Well, I like that. It's almost like I like movies that don't have a happy ending, because it's so predictable.
Right.
So I appreciate when an artist has lyrics that aren't predictable.
Yeah.
And it could be kind of, you know, nostalgic or sad, because we all have those feelings. We don't all sound like a bubblegum pop song, right?
Right.
So it's more relatable for most people, you know?
For sure, yeah. Yeah, definitely the vast majority of my songs are all in minor keys. They're all sad, or, you know, have some sad element to them. Like, I like them to try to tell a story, but usually it's a sad story. It's just what I gravitate to.
I love a songwriter that tells a story. I mean, like the greats, right? Like,
yeah.
Bob Dylan, Neil Young, and also I gotta ask, what are your main influences as a child?
Yeah. When I was a kid, most of what I listened to was the Beatles. That was the vast majority of it. My parents turned me on, like, yeah, my parents turned me on to that really pretty young. They had, like, you know, the number one album, the one that's just like their number one hits from over the years. But gradually, like, you know, for my birthday or Christmas or whatever, they would buy me more of their albums, and I got really into their albums over the years. And then even all the way up through high school, I really didn't listen to much else. And I'm sure if Matt's in the chat, he major chords give him hives. Yeah, I'm all about the sad songs. But yeah, with the Beatles, I really didn't listen to much else until after high school, and even then, it's been a very sort of slow gravitation away from them to other artists. Yeah, like, if you ask me about a Beatles song, I can probably tell you all about the history of what, you know, when it was recorded, or what it's about, or the Get Back documentary was really fantastic, because I love going that into detail about things.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people don't have the patience for the nitty-gritty details of, you know, that level of detail about things, but I love that stuff, and I could just sit in front of a screen and read about or watch that kind of stuff for hours.
Really hard question.
Yeah.
Top 5 Beatles
Top 5 songs. Okay. As in my top 5 favorites, or
yeah,
okay, favorites. So I would say Hey Bulldog is probably still at the top.
Not a common one.
Not a common one. I part of why I like it is because of its underdog aspect. Just, yeah, I like a lot of different things about it, and just sort of the way it came together in the studio, and it was also supposedly one of the last songs that they all enjoyed writing in the studio together, which was in 1968, and they worked together for 2 more years. So that's unfortunate.
He knows all the facts. He knows even the year that
I know the year.
Happened.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of. Oh, good. Let's see. Second, oh my God. Yeah, trying to do top 5 is difficult.
I
Because,
mean, top 10 if it's really that hard. 'Cause, I mean, we all have. What's everyone's favorite Beatles song in chat?
Oh yeah, put it in the chat. We'll
Because
see.
I mean, I think all of us has to have one, right? I mean, who isn't a Beatles fan, right? I mean,
yeah.
I never met anyone that didn't hear about the Beatles, right? So
Yeah.
top 5, I would say. Well,
Yeah, top 5.
So yeah.
So we'll go with Hey Bulldog. I'm just gonna do this like lightning round style. Let's see. Drive My Car is in the top 5. It's probably not second, but it's up there. It's just so catchy and simple, thematic. I love I Want You, She's So Heavy from Abbey Road. Yeah, that my band covered that last year. We did a very elaborate full band cover of that, which is on YouTube.
I've seen it. It's really good.
Yeah, that one we tried to remain as faithful to the original recording as possible, including any like weird sounds that happen in the background and stuff like that. So that's in the top 5. There has to be a George Harrison one. I'd say probably Savoy Truffle, and actually the first song George ever wrote, Don't Bother Me, is probably in the top 5 as well. It's one that even George put down when he wrote it, and years later talking about it being like, you know, we had to start from somewhere, and this one wasn't very good. And I'm just like, I love that song. It's funny because it is one of those sad songs, which was very strange for the Beatles canon, especially early on when they were writing all these songs about love, and it's a song called Don't Bother Me. Like,
yeah.
So I guess that's kind of telling about, what kind of music I find myself attracted to.
Yeah, I like that. So that was 3.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was only 3?
That was only 3, right?
Let's see. There was Hey Bulldog, I Want You, She's So Heavy, Drive My Car.
Drive My Car.
That one, Don't Bother Me, and then Savoy Truffle, which is another George Harrison tune from the White Album, which features a nice full. Excuse me. Come through. Sir, you've missed the start of the movie. It has a really fancy saxophone arrangement accompaniment in it, where they brought in like 6 different saxophone players that played this wonderful arrangement on it. And then George just wanted them to, he wanted their producer to just like really distort the sound and make it like really, just like really dirty sounding. And he apologized to the musicians when they went up to the sound booth, and he was like, I know you guys played it so beautifully, but this is the way I want it for for the song, and it's that way on the album. I learned how to play at least one of the parts once, but it's been a while.
So who's your favorite Beatle?
So.
Ringo.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely a controversial question for some people.
Hard.
Yeah, and it's because they all had such wonderful strengths to it. But I've thought about this question a lot. Not pre-rehearsed or anything, but I think I like George the most as the quiet Beatle. He's sort of he played the role in the band where he did really cool things and was definitely always there and a big part of it, but he wasn't the one who had everybody didn't have their eyes on him all the time, and a lot of people consider him kind of underrated, and he had arguably one of the best solo career post Beatles. So just
that's
like
my dad's favorite.
Yes, George is great, but I love George the most, but I know that personally I'm more of a Paul. And I feel like I've always looked like more of a Ringo.
No, I think you look more like Paul though.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Who told you look more like Ringo?
I don't know. I feel like when I was younger, I would get that more because my hair's kind of short right now. I got it cut a couple weeks ago.
Where's the quarantine hair? Come on, you
Yeah.
didn't let it grow. You didn't.
Oh, I did. I grew out a full beard, which was actually red. There's photos of it. It wasn't well maintained or groomed, so those you can find it on my personal Instagram, but you don't want to. Don't look for it.
Look for it and like it.
Yeah, no, I mean I think some of the social isolation sessions have the beard in there too. So
I love that everyone.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hey, I got a mic.
welcome to the party.
See, I knew that's why in the very beginning I said make sure, because that it's always a thing to get the right mic set up.
Oh yeah.
But this is the first try, so
Yeah.
we're gonna perfect it. Well, there's no such thing as perfection, but
You can grab onto
Yeah.
that mic, and I'll take this clip.
thank you. Wait, hold
There
on,
we
hold
go.
on. All right,
There we
you
go. Then you can bring it up to your face and
Yeah, now I can.
perfect.
I gotta power more. Okay, so what was the other thing I was gonna say? Yeah, George Harrison, and yours is Ringo. No surprise.
All right, it's got to be.
He's incredible. I saw somebody in the chat said Abbey Road Medley and also Eleanor Rigby. Those I forgot Eleanor Rigby. That is also one of my favorites.
That's one of my
love
faves,
that
too.
song so much. Again, another really sad one. That one's definitely kind of in the vein of my song Exactly Like You, or Exactly Like You is in the vein of that song, sort of like all the lonely people, kind of.
I love that. And Girl. I like Girl.
Yeah, it's good.
Girl.
Yeah, it's such a yeah.
I love that one.
Yeah, it's such a funny song. But yeah, it's got
I can
a nice...
hear you singing that song.
Yeah, I could.
Is there anybody going to listen to my story? All about the girl who came to stay.
Yeah, it's such a good song.
So it just hits me. It hits me right away.
Yeah.
Girl.
It's the kind of girl
Story.
you want so much it makes you sorry.
Sorry.
Still you don't regret a single day. Ringo over here.
Yeah, there's
messing
Ringo
it
over
up.
there. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
I wanna be your lover, babe. Yeah. Yellow Submarine and Octopus's Garden.
I know this song.
Yeah. No, I mean Ringo was. The thing is what got me into drums actually was my friend, my best friend in high school, Griffin. He, we met in high school shortly after I moved to Manhattan, and we became really good friends very quickly, and we both really loved the Beatles. And when Beatles Rock Band came out, he bought it, and we would go to his place after school a whole bunch, and he would usually play bass on like the fake guitar, and I had tried Guitar Hero a couple years earlier, and I was just really bad at it, which is really funny in retrospect.
Yeah.
But so I was just like, I don't want to do anything with guitars, but it was just like, okay, you could try out the the drum kit or whatever, and I actually just like picked it up very quickly, and I feel like it's more like actual drums than the guitar is more like an actual guitar. And so it was playing along to Ringo for all of the Beatles songs. That was just like, I think my cousin has a drum kit that I could maybe see if I could borrow it from him, and I did, and then I picked up and learned how to play drums. So it was because of Beatles Rock Band, so because of Ringo. So I do, I do love Ringo and his drum beats. He's, some people say like, oh, he did simple stuff, but it's like, yeah, but the Beatles compositions.
Less is more sometimes.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be like. It's like blast beats. I appreciate it, but I don't want to hear it constantly. That's not, to me. It's not it's not something that I'm like, oh wow.
Spoiler alert. I got a little blast beat section on one of our newer songs. So.
Ooh.
Spoiler alert.
But a section is good because then it highlights the section.
Yeah.
It brings something out there. If it's blast beats all the way through, or if it's the same thing all the way through, it's just like.
I feel like Matt's gonna cut it out completely and be like, no.
Well, Matt's
right,
saying
Matt.
Griffin, yeah. Some of the offbeat things are hard. Yeah, no, it's true. When I say simple stuff, it's compared to, what some people do in other genres of music. But as far as rock goes, like there's definitely Ringo songs that I can't play. Like I Feel Fine, the way he plays the ride cymbal in that one is very intricate. I never got that even in Beatles Rock Band, which is. Pretty forgiving.
Most great drummers generally stick to the pocket, right? Just groove and playing and just letting the band kind of breathe.
Yeah.
And playing to the music and not just
over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and that's kind of like a thing that a lot of drummers should learn how to do more often.
Oh yeah. I definitely can agree with that, having worked with a number of different drummers over the years. Like lots of them want to be doing a lot and compositionally a lot too, but sometimes it's just best to lay, and certainly for whenever I write drum parts for songs or when I play drums, I usually stick to the groove and avoid fills for the most part, because it's just like I don't want to mess up the fill and mess up the groove. So my drumming it tends to be fairly laid back. Tends to be
unless you're trying to embellish a part or something like that.
Exactly.
So here's something that I don't know if most people, I guess, I know Matt knows because it was because of Matt that Luna actually played with Blue Spruce.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
And it was in between you guys trying to find a drummer, right?
Yes, indeed.
So what happened there? Like, that was a pretty cool thing, because I was like, hey,
we got a clip to show you guys too.
We got to show you this clip, guys. Do you want to show it now?
Well, let's talk about the story.
Let's talk about it, and then
yeah.
you'll see the surprise, because you guys, when you see it, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it already.
Yeah. So this definitely wasn't the first time that we've switched drummers. We've had a few different drummers. We've had a few different bass players. And that's just sort of part of the nature of the way that my band Blue Spruce is structured. Sort of where it's me at the core of it, because I write the vast majority of the songs. I sing most of them. I play guitar, do a lot of the guitar solos, do most of the composition. But it started when I just brought a few friends in to, play some of my songs that hadn't seen the light of day in any of the other bands that I'd been in at the time, because I've been in a whole bunch of bands before that. We could talk about that.
Yeah,
but,
we're gonna definitely talk about that.
We're gonna keep you here all night long.
Yeah, that's
I'll
okay.
talk about.
we got a Christmas tree here. I can dig it.
I made it blue for you specifically.
Blue.
Oh yes. Oh good.
Miles
I love
Blue
it.
Spruce.
Blue
So
Spruce.
yeah, the tree might be a thing, guys. I don't know. Let us know if it's a thing you guys like.
Yeah. It's a thing
Luna,
I like. So.
Yeah. Okay,
I like
Blue
it.
Spruce, right? So it just fit. I was like, we gotta make it blue now, because it was red for the month of love, Valentine's. Next month it might be green for
St.
St. Patrick's
Patty's Day.
Mhm.
So, and then we'll put everybody's name that's subbed.
Put you on some shamrocks,
Yeah.
and
Shamrock.
Love it.
some gold coins.
Yeah. Look, the Irish.
But yeah, with the drums.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. with
Drummers, and you've been in a lot of bands.
Yes,
You're
yeah.
a drummer also.
Yes.
So you have to be kind of selective being a drummer yourself.
Yeah, there's certainly a level of selectiveness to it where it's like, when I would write the drum part to a song, and then another band would, another drummer would come in and play the song, and I'd be like, oh, this isn't quite what I wrote, but there was a level of like, okay, do I want somebody to play exactly what I wrote, or do I want to give them the freedom to try to come up with something that could be better? Like, I don't want to limit anything, and because when it comes to the music itself, I always try to focus on the composition, what's best for the song. That and I also take that approach for as an audio engineer, when I'm helping record other people do their thing, it's like, what's best for the song, not what's best for, what makes this person in the band look the best, like if they have a fancy flashy guitar solo or something like that, like does that serve the song? When I would compose things, I would always try to carefully compose all the different parts so that they complemented each other as much as possible, and didn't step on each other.
Right.
But at the same time, I would oftentimes overlook things because, as I mentioned before, like my main influence is the Beatles. There's so many other bands out there, So it's good to see what other people's influences, what they can bring to things also. So while it started with just a group of friends, like, slowly different members of the band left or joined, or, the band has grown and is sort of a very dynamic thing. We've had several bass players, several drummers, a few different lead guitar players. Our current lineup is minus the drums, has been current only for about like a year and a half, something like that. So
so a lot of switching there.
There's a lot of switching, which is why it's good that most of the songs aren't too complicated.
Okay.
Yeah, easy to pick up along the way.
Yeah, it's definitely easy to pick up on a lot of them. So, and I think that's one of the part of the beauty of the songs is that they're not necessarily the hardest to play or anything like that, but a lot of it is about making money. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, making money.
Calling it out.
With the 100 biddies.
Thank you
my
so much,
friend.
making money.
And the resub.
The resub. I see you. Oh, CP was in here.
Yeah,
Hey,
CP was hanging out. He was saying he thinks the setup. He misses our faces.
Aw, we love CP. Chris the Surfer, what's up?
And of course, Matt's telling like the other. Matt's telling like the other side of my
Smash cab.
Of my biography at the same time in the chat.
Filling in the blanks.
Yeah.
Kyle, thanks for being here, Kyle.
So since my sit-in for the show, you have recently just found someone.
Yes, we did find we did find a new drummer. He actually works with my dad, but he's around our age, and his name is actually Kyle Drumheller.
Drumheller.
It's a great name for a drummer.
Wait, is that his actual name? Like Drumheller is his last name?
Drumheller is his last name.
Wow.
That's a badass last name.
It's quite badass.
Like automatically you're a badass when you were born.
Yeah, like you were destined for this, and like my name was Miles. I should have played the trumpet, but that's a different story. But
he sounds like he would be a blast beat maker or something.
Drumheller.
It definitely gives that, but he definitely has like the kind of more indie rock sensibilities that Blue Spruce has. So I think he's going to be quite a good fit. We had one rehearsal with him, and then the pandemic clamped down again. We stopped doing in-person rehearsals, as quarantine demanded. And COVID would have its way, but we're looking to get back into rehearsing again soon. We're looking forward to properly getting him up to speed with all the songs and stuff. He's had plenty of time to listen to the catalog now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he had time to brew.
This is his test now. Like when he gets back up and running with you guys, it's like, okay, do you know it?
Every single note. Yeah.
So let's roll this clip.
Yeah. Let's give it a listen.
We'll do some commentary too on it as well. Let me mute this here, and then we're gonna play this clip.
So this clip, let's set up the clip.
Spruce, please enjoy.
Is in Arlene's Grocery in the Village in Manhattan.
Oh yeah.
Legendary place, by the way.
Favorite place to play in the city. One of my favorite places.
I was gonna ask you which is your favorite place. There you go.
I redact that. It's not my favorite, but it's in the top 3.
It's definitely on the top.
You guys can hear this chat, right? Debbie,
my love, welcome in. I miss you.
This is a fun show.
Oh yeah, I had a lot of fun at this one. You'll see it soon enough.
You say the most with silence, like a foreign moving picture. Hiding from the sunlight, a blue umbrella has your stricture. But there comes a time when the hourglass is inverted. In those times, the temperament of your mind becomes perverted. And in those times, your eyes grow wild with 1,000 untold crimes. Your tongue sticks back inside your throat and gurgles rancid rhymes.
Probably one of the most fun songs that I've played with you guys.
Oh yeah. The drums. There's lots of
Any thoughts of rationality are sucked into the yawn of the void where all the darkness goes to escape the crack of dawn.
So the keyboardist is Matthew. Madagascar in chat. Also lead singer and keyboardist and one of the founders of Hotel Security.
Yeah, calling you out, man. Sweet. Oh yeah.
That GoPro camera came in handy. I had no idea what I was doing.
Didn't sound that way.
I'm just gonna fill through this whole thing. I wonder if it was like music. Lightning with the kick drum.
Yeah.
So small, so I was afraid you might run into Matt's keyboard.
Oh yeah. I don't usually move around that much, so yeah. It was.
You were feeling it.
In
I
those
was
times, your eyes
definitely
grow wild with 1,000
I knew
untold
they were
crimes.
screaming it, so I was
Your tongue
hamming it
sticks
up.
back inside your throat and gurgles rancid rhymes.
The scream was great.
Was that?
That was Matt.
That was Matt. Let it out, Matt!
Or the sweet.
Go!
That's usually the one.
Now we had a power trio up there.
Yeah.
I mean, the energy is like, from you guys, the three
Half
of you
the
guys.
stage.
Yeah. A lot of us up.
Hills for days.
We're just like going at it right there. Woo! That energy.
And that is Miles Blue Spruce live.
In my
There's more
element,
where that came from.
theoretically.
More where that came from, guys. So if you guys are ever in
Make
New
sure you
York
follow
City-
him and check out his music
Oh yes.
all across the board.
If it's
there.
your thing. don't want to force anyone into that.
We're forcing you.
Yeah.
Debbie, thank you for the
Debbie.
sub.
9 months. We had a baby. Girl, was it a boy or a girl?
Wow.
What would we name her or him, Debbie? Thank you so much for the 9 months in a row. Yes, let's go.
It was so nice actually being able to see Luna for once during this gig.
Because he's usually just stuck being facing forward.
Yeah. I told him like, what if we did this setup for hotel security? He was like, no. Such a weird angle, no.
Yeah. Yeah, they purposely angled him like that for the cameras actually, because we had that whole set. It was streamed, so like all those different wonderful camera angles, and then I also got the audio from the soundboard, so I have all the individual tracks from that too to
That's a great
play around with.
clip.
Yeah,
I love that about Arlene's when they have, and you guys, if they have a show in Arlene's, you can actually participate. There's a chat. You can go online, watch it. They stream it. It's fun. It's so fun. If you can't make it to the show live, you can always tune in and pay for a ticket online and actually, like here, like on Twitch.
Yeah, it's very much in the vibe of Twitch.
And
which is cool.
beautiful setup, multiple cameras, angles.
Yeah.
Direct
Really nice
audio.
definition. Yeah.
Like, legit, really good.
Very good sound. And yeah, that's one of the things that I love about Arlene's, because I've played there with a few different bands over the years, actually. But it's one of my favorites because, the guys who work there are nice, the setup is really nice, the stage is a little on the small side, but, it's cozy for New York City, so...
Yeah.
It's a legendary spot.
Yeah, and it's been there for so long. When you're up there, it's really good. If you're in the audience, it's really good. It's just a good experience for everybody involved. So I've played at so many different venues over the years. It's like oftentimes either the performer suffers for one reason or another, or the audience suffers for one reason or another. Like I don't want to call any venues out, but like when there's like a few drink minimum for the audience, and they just want to see a band, they don't want to pay a ton more.
Especially for me, I don't even drink. I don't drink, so it's like,
neither do
what
I.
am I
So it's like,
yeah,
I'll get a water. I'll get another water. Okay, are you gonna charge me for these? Like,
yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I guess to segue into
your
like
favorite venues.
Yeah, I'd say my favorite venue was the biggest venue that I ever played with Blue Spruce, which was back in 2018, I think. Yeah, it was Gramercy Theater, and that was a wonderful experience because that's like a big stage,
huge,
like a big room. And I bought an amp specifically for that show because before then I would just like take whatever like sort of more small practice size amp or hope that there was an amp at the venue, but I knew that for Gramercy that wasn't going to cut it. I wanted to make sure that my sound was good and that I wasn't going to have to worry about that sort of thing on stage, just trying to mic a tiny practice amp or something silly like that and have like a small sound in a big place. So I bought like a Roland Jazz Chorus specifically for that gig, and I got like the medium-sized model because I didn't want I wanted to make sure it was loud enough, but I didn't want it to be like so big that it would like overtake my apartment. And I was just really hoping. I'm just like, I hope it's loud enough. And I had the thing set to like 3, I think, and it was too loud.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, if it's too loud, if 3 is plenty for Gramercy Theater, like I'm not gonna need another amp, for loudness.
What kind of amp? What brand was it?
It's a Roland Jazz Chorus. So
okay.
it's just really clean,
yeah.
Which fits the guitar tones that I usually go for most of the time. I don't do distorted stuff too much, and I definitely do have a couple pedals and like a fuzz pedal and stuff like that. But a lot of my parts tend to stay very clean, and the riffs are like clean guitar parts. People often say that there's like they feel like there's some surf rock influence to it because it's there's just like that very clean guitar, and I like it to stay clean even when it's really loud. So that's why the jazz chorus is really good for that. I don't use it for the jazz, but and I don't use it for the chorus either. It has chorus on it. I do it for the jazz.
It just cuts through the
you like
tones.
Jazz? Yeah. It cuts through without breaking up. Sometimes that the sound of a tube amp is really nice, and that's what you want with some types of rock and roll. But for myself personally, knowing the stuff that I play, I find that it's a good amp for me. So. But that show was just great overall. It was a great time. Some of the photos that were in the intro that we played at the beginning are from that show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we had to get pictures of us playing at Gramercy because it's
you
so
gotta
big.
Yeah.
It
Note
was
to
so
self:
big.
get a show at Gramercy. Bring cameras.
Yes, yeah. Bring all the cameras.
Video and photos.
Yeah. I had so much fun at that show, but. So that's definitely one of my favorite venues. And then there was a venue farther downtown, which I would say is my other, like in my top 3 to round that out, which was I'm blanking on the name of it. It was just south of Canal Street. I can't remember. There was an upstairs, there was a downstairs, but I just remember it just like the sound always filling the room. They did a really good job of just like it.
Is it that church place they converted into a?
No, it's
venue?
It's closed now. It closed a few years ago. It was Santos Party House.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was called. Yeah, I just remember having some really fun shows there and seeing some bands that I really enjoyed play there also. Just small shows. And what was great, it was such a convenient location, but it was also really cheap, which is probably part of why it went out of business, unfortunately. I knew some of the people who were involved in like the management behind it. They're like, oh yeah, that place was like hemorrhaging money. I'm just like, no,
man.
but you know, places
Everyone
like that
milked
can't
it
last.
for sure.
Yeah, but it was just a great place to play also. But I've played so many different venues, mainly around Manhattan, but also like in Brooklyn and a couple in Queens too. Just with the different bands I've been in over the years. The first band I was in 2011. That was the first band I formed. So even though I started playing music way back in like the early 2000s, and I started picking up all these other instruments and stuff. When I was in high school, the high school I went to was more academically focused. So it didn't really have a big music program or a big art program there, and everyone was more focused on like the academics and like going to the best college that they could go. It was one of those, which was what I thought I wanted to do at the time. But I also had this music aspect to it that I wanted to enrich and grow with as well. And I tried in high school to ask friends like, hey, you kind of like playing music? Let's start a band. I tried to do that a whole bunch, and no one bit. So
how many bands have you been in?
Oh boy.
Like more than you can count on one hand?
Certainly more than I can count on one hand. I remember being in 4 bands at the same time.
Oh, wow. That's
once.
That's
a juggle.
At one point, yeah.
That's
that
heavy.
Was because that was when I was still kind of high on the idea of just being like, I'll collaborate with whoever. Well, we can. Who knows what extent of music I can
So
create.
collabs became bands.
Yeah. A lot of collabs became bands, but then not all of those bands ended up like becoming like a full-on project. But in terms of like real bands I've been in over the years, I'd say I've been in like probably 4 or 5. Yeah, probably like more like 5 or 6, I would say total. And playing different instruments in all of them too. The first band was a band called Little Lucy, and it was super out there. The only band that we ever got compared to was the Mars Volta.
Oh, wow, that's a good comparison.
Yeah, it was quite a comparison. But it was I played saxophone and then keyboard for like a song or two, but it was primarily saxophone. There was a guitar player, and he and I like wrote just like albums worth of music. We barely recorded any of it. We spent so much time rehearsing, and we played shows all the time, but when it came down to recording, it took us ages to finally get around to it. And by that point, he ended up losing interest in the project, which was just unfortunate, because we had albums worth of songs, like fully composed, all written out, like our parts were written out. We had this great drummer that we played with at the time. A really great.
Good drummers are hard to find.
Yeah, and he was, we were all going to the same school at the time, and so we just happened to find him. We happened to find this really great bass player who was our bass player in Blue Spruce. He reprised his role as bass player many years later, because he's still a very good friend of mine. Mm-hmm. But I loved that band because it really expanded my horizons on saxophone, because I never, even now listening back to the songs, I have no idea what chords the guitarist was playing ever, because he would just do really complicated, complex chord shapes and just very strange progressions, and I would just try to follow that on saxophone. You can't figure out my stuff. Yeah, no, it was completely.
This is why Miles writes simpler stuff.
Yeah, so it never gets lost in translation, because I've listened to the demos of our rehearsals and shows and stuff, and I'm just like, I wish I could find somebody who knew how to play this stuff
or
who could follow it. Yeah, because his hand was just like darting all around the fretboard.
Wow.
I'd never be able to figure it out.
I mean, the Mars Volta, to be compared to that, he probably just.
When he would write a guitar part, it would typically be a lead guitar part, a rhythm guitar part, and a bass part, like all in one. And it would just be like he'd be darting around doing all this stuff.
Where is he now? Is he in a band too?
I have no idea, because I know he ended up in another band, but I lost contact with him like probably 7 years ago now or something like that. But there was a point where we were like, rehearsing almost every day, and we were constantly just, like I said, writing stuff, honing in on stuff, like really, so like, we were super tight knit, and we were really focused on it, which, I loved that, and I always kind of wanted to go back to that, and I've never had that kind of, I mean, it was partially driven by him, more than anything, but I really loved it when I was in that. So that was the first band I was in, which was very, I would say, atypical for what bands do most of the time, because I haven't encountered and experienced much like that one since. I mean, every band is different, but it was very interesting, because the level of musicianship in that band was just like really up there, because it was me on my best instrument, saxophone, this guy on drums. He was just like an absolute monster at drums. He never came to he came to 2 rehearsals in the 2 years that we existed as a band. He would write his parts on the spot at shows, and then just play them exactly that way at every show. It was insane. And we had, the songs were really complicated, would be like 6 minutes long, and have like, it wasn't the typical like verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. Like, there would be like, okay, and then we're going to go to section D, and then we're going to go to F, but then we're going to go back to B, and then A and B, and, it would do that sort of, and he could just follow along. It was just like, what, I still remember how to play a lot of the songs on saxophone. Yeah, no, it was, I don't know how we came up with those songs, but we did, and they were
so
really
nobody
good.
Ended up having, just if they went to a live show, they heard the songs, but it didn't become an album.
No, it never became an album. There's 3 decently recorded demos that we had.
What could have been?
Yeah, what could have been. I mean, we still have our SoundCloud with like 3 tracks on it, but
it's kind of like the start of Hotel Security. We played songs that weren't even on albums until now. So.
Yeah, no, exactly. And now you guys have an album, which is exciting.
So yeah, we definitely got to talk about that, because Matt, which is the lead singer of Hotel Security, which they'll be here next month, guys. So stay tuned for that, because that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, we're gonna have a full band in here, and we're all gonna play, and it's gonna be crazy.
But it evolved from this man. It evolved from you.
Yes.
And Matt meeting, right?
Yes.
And knowing each other, and then starting Blue Spruce.
Yeah. The full origin story there was
origin story.
So you get the origins before you see Hotel Security. So that's amazing.
And side anecdote, Miles mixed and mastered both of our albums.
There you go. The mastermind right there.
The mastermind, yes, that is me, as it has been for a few bands, but I'm was very happy to do it for Hotel Security, because I'm so like involved behind the scenes in that band.
Yeah.
Bromance origins, yeah.
Oh, I love that bromance origin.
Well, because I mentioned before my friend Griffin from high school. It was through Griffin that Matt and I met each other, because Matt knew Griffin from, of course, now I'm going to blank on where it is. I'm sure Matt will put it in the chat, but they knew each other, and then I knew Griffin from high school, and we met at one of Griffin's birthday parties that he had. Like his 15th or 16th or something like that.
Summer camp.
Summer camp. And then
you guys were lads.
Yeah.
Very young lads.
And then and we just friended each other on Facebook and didn't see each other for a number of years until like flash forward to just a few years ago, when all of a sudden like we both attended like a Muse concert, and then we both attended like a Last Shadow Puppets or an Arctic Monkeys concert, and it was at that point I was looking for a new musician for my band, because our first lead guitar player left the group, so I was looking for another lead guitar player, and I didn't know much about Matt's background with music, but I knew that we had very similar music interests, because we kept showing up at the same shows.
That's amazing.
So I asked him, I was just like, hey, do you want to play guitar for the band? And he's like, sure, I'll audition, and he came to audition, and his good. He'll be the first to tell you that his
2016.
Yep,
At what
that's
time?
when it was. Yeah.
I need time and seconds, Matt. Okay.
Yeah.
We just
very vague.
It was that moment.
But yeah, I mean, it wasn't when he played guitar, but then he sat down. There was a piano in the room. Conveniently, there was just a Steinway piano in the room, and he played it along to one of the songs. I'm just like, I wasn't thinking of this, but this is really fantastic. And then I asked if he wanted to join us on keyboard. He didn't even have a keyboard then, so I lent him one of mine, and he still has one of mine, or a couple of mine.
Oh.
I don't need them or anything.
Treat them well.
Yeah. And
He's like, they're in the closet somewhere.
yeah, I can't play guitar to save my life. Okay, so he'll say it before I will, but his keyboard skills were definitely up to par, and they've added certainly an angle that I never saw for a lot of the songs that we ended up writing. So it definitely added. That's the sort of thing where it's like, different element to the composition, or a different flavor to the sound. And then Austin, who's also in hotel security, was he became our lead guitar player toward the end of that year, at the end of 2016.
How'd you meet Austin?
I'd actually known him for a few years before that. I met him because he was just sort of like in the same music scene that I was in with some of the bands I'd been in previously. All kind of I don't want to say orchestrated, because I always think of it that way, but there was a guy named Nick Jenkins who used to book a lot of shows around Manhattan, and a lot of the shows that I played with the different bands I was in were booked through him. And eventually I became friends with him. He had a band called the Black Market Merchants, which I absolutely adore their music, and I'm working on recording they don't really exist much as a band anymore, but I'm still recording their second album with them.
Oh wow, the second album?
Yeah, their second album. I recorded their first one with them too. And Nick Zide, who's the in hotel security, he was the rhythm guitar player in the Black Market Merchants as well. So like there's just a lot of kind of overlap with people in that scene. So Austin was one of the people that I met through all those different projects kind of going on, everybody's different bands, and I knew that he played guitar, so I asked him if he wanted to play guitar in Blue Spruce. And then a few months later, our drummer left the band, but then he was like, I could play drums.
Yeah, typical Austin.
Yeah.
I could do it.
Yeah. And so then he was our drummer for over a year after that, and then eventually he left, but then Matt and Austin started writing stuff together, and that's how hotel security came to be. So you heard it here first, folks.
It's like,
how did you feel though?
Matt and Austin were like, shh, we gotta do this behind Miles.
Oh my God! Wait, there's a raid happening.
Oh, we're getting raided. Woohoo. C.S. Murphy.
Oh, Chris.
We got C.S. Murphy in the house and his fam.
Thank you so much for coming in, Chris.
T-Dun, thank you for the follow.
T-Dun. Thank you so much for coming in.
C.S. Murphy is the next podcast guest here on YenYorkCity in 2 weeks, I believe.
Yeah, in 2 weeks. And we're going to be doing some VR. And also, Chris plays guitar, by the way.
He's also a shredder. He's really good.
And he does artwork for bands, for like
crazy artists.
Yeah, like crazy.
Illustrations. He did work with Disney, DreamWorks, Pixar, something like that. All those big companies.
That's awesome.
He's a genius.
He's great.
That's cool. So this is some foreshadowing, him being here now.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's meant to be.
Definitely check him out, and if you're looking for any commission work, he's definitely I'm sure he's open for it. So.
Yeah, he's worked with bands and done covers for albums too.
So this is Miles Blue Spruce. He's a local artist, musician here in New York City.
Multi-instrumentalist.
And he's the founder, right, of Blue Spruce, his band. And I had the luxury to play once with him. Yes. And we said, hey, let's get you on the podcast. You did a lot for hotel security.
Yes.
And since we're in the story about hotel security and Miles, he is friends and helped kind of mold and brought the band together in some way. So
yeah.
This is where we're at.
Exactly. I'm sort of like the great grandfather of hotel security in a way.
Yeah.
Bringing the origins.
Yeah, the origin story. Yeah, the origins of hotel security and Blue Spruce and all that.
And I think that's a great segue to go to the next live demonstration of how amazing he is. And
you want to
original songs.
Throw a couple more songs?
Yeah. Let's do that.
We're gonna jump into our intermission set here and get everything up
for the
up
raid.
and running.
Moving back to studio stage we're back. I'm back on stage 1, and I got reverb on my voice, so you know what that means. It's time to play a song. This is a Blue Spruce classic. I think written in 2015. So it predates the band actually, but it's become a staple Blue Spruce song. So this song is called "Disappear," and if you like it, there's a lot more of it online. We got an animated music video for it on YouTube, so you can check that out. But in the meantime, you're gonna get the super fun acoustic version. So this is a podcast exclusive. Coursing through your veins, tap your foot along, you really can't complain. Yet you can't see why the people smile your name, when all you feel inside is just this sadness and shame. Listen to the music as you tap your feet, see the shockwaves echo up and down the street, of all the actions and words you said you'd never say. You would hope that you could stall the coming of this day. And now it's here, and now it's finally here, the day you disappear. Listen to the footsteps rushing overhead. The thought of your discovery fills your mind with dread. Yet you can't see why the people soften their tread, till a banging at the door finds you already dead. And now it's here, and now it's finally here, the day you disappear. Disappear, the day you disappear. Should I do another? Yes. All right. So we're gonna move back. So that's on our second album, The Poison in the Ice. This next one is from our first album. Also definitely predates the band. This one's more like a 2013, 2014 song. A lot of the songs on our first album, Intended Memories, were songs that I had written that didn't fit whatever band I was in at the time. So I just kind of held on to them, knowing that like hopefully someday in the future they would be used. This was one of those songs. Okay, I wasn't gonna go for exactly like you. I'll do that one afterwards. I just don't want to do two songs in E minor at the same time. You know what I'm talking about, Matt. We're gonna do You Won't Remember My Name, and this is gonna make Matt sad. This is gonna make Matt sad because he loves this song, and I know he's probably gonna sing along to it from home. But yeah, this song is called You Won't Remember My Name. All adored me long ago.
spoke so fondly of me to my face. Words long swept away without a trace. Someday you'll long once more for my embrace. Unable to rekindle the same sort of flame, and you won't remember my name. You look skyward, trying to recall my name. You won't remember 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 my name. Acted like I was just a magic trick that they could make disappear and reappear with a flick. I followed along, led by the hope and the joy that they had promised me then with all their cunning and coy. I wouldn't believe that I was being led on. I didn't wake up until the dreams were all gone. But I've got to ask, am I really to blame now that you've come crawling back, begging me for my name? Trying to recall the name you've lost. Cast off with no warning, you set my hopes burning, and now you've waited too long. You won't remember my name. 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 Won't remember my name. You won't remember my name. Stays to last. If good ever tries to come back again, can only lead to senseless pain. Once again, spoke so fondly of me to my face. Words long swept away without a trace. Someday you'll long once more for my embrace. Unable to rekindle the same sort of flame, and you won't remember my name. You won't remember my name. Trying to recall the name you lost. Cast off with no warning, you set my hopes burning, and now you've waited too long. You won't remember my name. 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 Won't remember my name. You won't remember my name. You won't remember my name. You won't remember my name. That was fun on the vocal cords. Thank you guys so much. Shall I do the audience request of exactly like you? We talked about that one a little earlier, so.
Yes, Matt.
Yes, this one's for Matt. Dedicated for Matt. There's a few people out there who know this one because it was one of the ones that I hawked around really early on. This is the one that I wrote in the barn where I couldn't even play the notes, so I had to record each note separately to get it, because this was before I could play guitar. I wrote this one. But it was written for guitar. It's another one from the first album. Like Matt said, for You Won't Remember My Name, the album version is pretty quality as well.
The album version of You Won't Remember My Name has a whole bunch of saxophones in it too. So it's got guitars, saxophones, drums, bass, the whole 9 yards. So this one's a little bit more simple, but still should be enjoyable for those who are getting ready to go to bed. If you don't pay attention to the lyrics, it makes a good lullaby.
Like you're clever, you pretend to be strong. You think you're unique, but you couldn't be more wrong. Everyone else feels the same way you do. Everyone else is exactly like you. You say you want money and power and fame, but those are the highlights of this twisted game. Say that it's my fault, but I'm not to blame, because we're all different, we are all the same. Think you've just started, I know that you're through. Everyone else is exactly like you. You act like you're clever, you believe that you're bright, but what's left of you when I turn out the light? Think you've just started, I know that you're through. Everyone else is exactly like you. Exactly like you. Exactly like you. Exactly like you. Applause and air horns to wake anybody up.
Nice.
Might have fallen asleep.
Oh, that was nice. It is like a lullaby. It does feel very lullaby.
It has that lullaby feel to it, and then it's just very sad. Definitely influenced by what's the song? Mary Poppins. Early each day. What's it? Feed the Birds. That
Oh,
song.
okay, yeah.
I love that song, but not quite the same feel to it. But
And that went out to Matt.
that went out to Matt specifically.
Matt! Matthew!
I would say I hope you enjoyed it, but I know you did.
All right.
Beautiful.
Cool.
Next segment.
All right.
All right. So, hope you guys enjoyed the tunes by Miles.
Back on the couch.
Back on the couch.
So
It's a long walk all the way from the other studio, and it's a few rooms away. They got quite the operation here.
Yeah, we try to make things a little bit more convenient. Minus jumping the hopscotching over the wires and spaghettiness and whatnot. So
No, that's my element. I'm all about the wires and cables and studios and stuff like that. No stranger.
I try to be neat with the wires, but
yeah,
I'll get it down eventually.
It
Meanwhile,
always
there's
gets
like
away
a
with
pile
you.
of spaghettis here.
Yeah, you need a giant fork.
Yeah. I'm getting hungry.
So,
Yeah.
Miles Blue Spruce.
That's me.
Spruce. So,
Yes.
that is derivative from your native.
Yes.
Native American.
Yes, I am. I know I don't look it at all, but I'm in fact a quarter Native American. Pueblo.
Pueblo.
Pueblo from New Mexico.
Oh.
I've got some family still down there. But yeah, Blue Spruce. It's like the tree.
Like the tree.
Like the tree that we got behind us.
Blue like the color.
I love
Yeah,
when
blue
you
like the
say that.
color.
You just said it.
Yeah.
it-
Blue like
live,
the
that's-
color, spruce like the tree. That's because I'm so used to having to because it's apparently really complicated for people to spell it correctly because I'm just like blue spruce. It's two separate words. They're like, oh, so it has a hyphen in between. I'm just like, no. It's there's no hyphen. They're like, okay, so it's one word. I'm like, no. There's a space in between. They're like,
Yeah.
hyphen. I'm like, no.
So is your middle name Blue?
Yeah, that's a very
Oh,
common
yeah,
one,
yeah.
which is fine. Like that's fine. But one time in high school, someone just came up to me out of the blue with literally no leading up to it. They just said, they're just like, so your parents were hippies. I'm like, what?
Oh,
It's just like, what are you
wow.
talking about? They're like, well, your middle name's Blue. I'm like, so first of all, that's wrong. Second of all, what?
Your parents are hippies.
Yeah, my parents
Oh,
were
wow.
hippies. Apparently, yeah, no. But yeah, so Blue Spruce is it's extra fun because the original last name was a lot longer than that, and it was shortened over the generations. But the original last name was Blue Spruce Tree Protecting the Little Fawn.
Wow.
Oh.
So that's the whole version.
That's the whole version. Legally,
the little
protecting the little fawn. So like little picture like a little deer underneath the tree, like protected from the rain,
Like
something like that.
Bambi, you know?
Yeah, like Bambi. I knew I was related closely to that movie for some
Is
reason.
that your
but-
favorite Disney movie?
It's up there. It's one of the ones that I definitely saw as a
So
kid.
is this in translation or is it like? Is it in a different language normally, or
That much I don't know. I don't know about it to that extent. I don't know what it would sound like in the native tongue. I can't speak any of the Pueblo tribe languages, but I know that's what it was originally, and that actually only was members of my family learned that only more recently. I found out the same time that my dad found out that. So he'd gone his whole life without knowing that. But so shout out to the Laguna and the Okeowenge tribes because those are my two.
nice?
Wow.
But yeah, so like the name Blue Spruce was always very fun to me because it always felt a little bit different, and then on top of that, just because my full legal name is Miles Alexander Blue Spruce, which always just felt like a very big name. Like I had to do something with it, so I found it blended. And I wasn't even the one when I started Blue Spruce. We didn't have a name, and because I was just like I don't know where this is gonna go. Like I know like I wrote a lot of these songs, but like I'm open to ideas for what we want to call the band. And eventually it was the drummer who said, I think we should call it Blue Spruce. I'm like, okay, if that's what you guys like.
Yeah.
I was
This is
I was
on
so,
you, okay?
Yeah. I was
You
so
didn't want to be the
tentative.
one to say it.
I didn't
right?
want to. Yeah.
This is not an ego thing. Okay?
Yeah, no, and that's one thing, like honestly, that I've always sort of like been very kind of shy about is I've definitely never wanted to come across as egocentric or those are the initials MABS, which I always liked as well. But
Better than EVL. Mine is EVL.
well, that sounds like an airport abbreviation.
Yeah, well,
EVL.
If you want to like voice it out, it just doesn't sound fun.
Ever.
Is ever.
Yeah, no, but I've always tried to avoid the ego thing and just like
I gotta say, everyone I spoke to in the circle, whenever you're performing, and we have like intermission and we have like kind of like the talking in between songs and in between, and everyone's always singing beautiful things about you. Like they're like, oh, he's the nicest guy in the world. Like there isn't a bad bone in this man's body.
Yeah.
Like he is such a great guy. Like seriously, like genuinely, everyone. And I'm like, I feel that. I feel that energy.
Now I know what y'all are saying about me behind my back.
All beautiful things. All beautiful things. And I was like,
And I don't like it. It's gonna be sent to my face.
like, come on, I got an edge.
Yeah. Now I get shy about compliments. I never know how to respond to them.
The best compliments are the ones that you don't know about, and then you hear from someone else.
Oh yeah. No,
I always
absolutely. Because it's like, oh, this like, because then it's not like they're just saying it because I'm there. It's like you're hearing about it because somebody else said. Yeah, it's more genuine. I always appreciate that. But I've never done well with compliments or just like I don't know, just like putting myself out there. Like at this point, like I'm more comfortable with the idea of Blue Spruce as like a band, which is like my band, and like I'm the front man of it. But it's taken like 6 years to get to that point.
Yeah.
Because it was always just like, oh, but like I've got a band here. Like it's all of us. It's not it's not just like we're playing the music. Like I don't know. There was just something I never. It wasn't that I was like ashamed to put my name on it, obviously, but it was
it's an awesome name. It's just the origin and everything. I would be totally proud of it.
Yeah.
So it feels like they wanted to be the one to say it because they knew you weren't gonna be. They're like, hey, I mean, come on, own it, right? And then there's a story behind it, and it's like the spirit of it is what like probably gets everyone to really love and vibe with it because there's something there. You know, that's a. The origin is really special. Yeah. The origin is special, and
during quarantine, I really got the chance to really just like take a step back and be like, okay, what is like the Blue Spruce brand all about, and what is it that we're trying to do with the music? Like obviously we're trying to create good music that people like, because that was always the thing also, is that like these songs that I came up with were things that I liked, and my hope was that, okay, I hope other people could like them too, because I'm definitely a people pleaser. That's and anybody who knows me will tell you, like I'm always trying to put a smile on somebody else's face, and if I'm the only one who's happy, then I've definitely done something wrong. So it's always the idea of creating songs just for myself never felt right, and that's part of why I always liked recording the music and releasing it, because it's just like, I don't just want this to be for me, I want it to be for other people, because you never know when something that you create could really do something for somebody else and like change somebody else, because there's so many songs out there that are so special to me, and not all of them are from bands that people have heard of. Some of them are from local New York City bands. Shout out in particular to, I'd say, like the Black Market Merchants and the Living Strange, two bands where I really admire the musicians in them and the songs that they
I know one of the guys from the Living Strange, because he goes to the shows a lot. The blonde guy.
Oh yeah. Nico. Probably
He's
Nico.
Oh my god, I would pay that guy just to go and like see my band
just
and
be
in
up front.
Yeah.
Because he is such a hype man. Oh
Yes.
my god, I'm pretty hype when I go, and I'm like really like I'm
All
in
you
the
see
front.
is his hair flying everywhere.
Oh
And
yeah.
he's
His fluffy blonde
Blue
hair.
Spruce. He'll
Yeah.
be the one to shout out your band's name.
Yeah.
Like when he's that hotel security.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh no, he's great.
He's so good.
But I like there's songs from both of those bands that I listen to. I'll listen to them regularly on loop, because that's frequently how I consume music, is listening to one song on repeat over and over and over again. Probably not healthy, but it's but like there's some songs by local bands that have, like, I wouldn't say necessarily that they've changed my life, but they're a big part of it. And like it's like if I'm in a certain mood, it'll be like this is the song I want to go to first, and that comes from it can come from anybody. It doesn't have to come from somebody who has billions of streams on Spotify or anything like that. It can come from anyone. So with my music, I always just try to I try to put it out there so that people can hear it. So hopefully if you guys like it, it does something for you, and if it doesn't, that's cool too.
More viral, because a lot of people start really small, but now it's gotten better in a way because you can reach more people.
Oh yeah.
Via even TikTok. I don't know. Like, there's people that I know that are going viral right now because of a TikTok.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh well, that started off as a spoof
Yeah.
Like Joshua Wu, like I've been telling you about.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned
he did
him.
a Radiohead song mixed with the Bee Gees in a Bee Gees voice, just to be funny in his streams.
It's so good.
And he said a radio station even played it this week, and he's like, it's madness.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
no.
And he's from
It's
London.
bonkers.
Yeah, and it's like, but you know what? It's making people go to my Spotify and then listen to original music that I've made.
Yeah.
So it could be something small like that.
No, absolutely. And TikTok is a really good example of it, because what I like about TikTok is that its algorithm is so kind of random starting out. It will play literally anything. You know, it'll go from something that has millions of views to just like some, you know, and then you swipe up and then all of it's just something with 10 views on it. Like, its algorithm is a lot more random, so I feel like it actually offers more opportunity for exposure, whereas like things like Facebook or YouTube have really kind of honed and Instagram have like really honed their algorithm to weed out, you know, smaller people trying to do something. And that's one thing that I appreciate about TikTok is when I, you know, heard that it was potentially a good platform for doing stuff, I started putting some videos on there, just, you know, nothing, and I was told, like, just put more, like, the more content the better. It's quantity over quality.
Right, don't overthink it.
Yeah, don't overthink it. And even when I started just doing a few videos on there without much thought, like, I noticed that there was more traffic going to Spotify. I'm just like, this is cool.
Yeah, like it's working.
I could do this.
And that same concept could be applied for everything too, like music creation.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you don't want to overthink what you're creating, because then you'll never get it out there.
Oh, yeah.
And you're gonna nitpick on every little detail that you're trying to put in there.
That definitely strikes a chord with me, because it's like, before I created Blue Spruce as a band, a lot of those songs, it was just like, you know, I had them, I was sort of like stockpiling them. I had them because they didn't fit in these other bands that I was in, and I was just like, you know, but like, you know, these songs, you know, should be heard. I want them to be heard in, you know, some way or another. So that was where the first batch of Blue Spruce songs came from, or songs that I'd just written over the course of, you know, the years kind of leading up to. And I still have a backlog of songs because I can't stop writing.
Yeah.
What a problem, right?
It's such an
albums
issue
for you guys to enjoy.
Yeah. When I'm in my 50s, I'll finally run out of songs, maybe.
No,
I don't think so.
Then you'll
Definitely.
the best of.
Yeah, we'll have the best of collections.
Or the
unreleased albums.
Yeah. Or I'll give them away to other artists.
The farewell tour, like Elton John. Matt was saying that he's been saying goodbye for years. Going on tour.
Wasn't it like Prince that had like thousands of songs that are in his archive that he has never launched?
That's crazy.
That's
insane.
He probably overthunk it. And
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. Like, you overthink it, you won't get
Michael
it out
Jackson,
there. But
too.
they're
Same
perfectionists. You know?
Yeah. And that's you know, the perfectionism is one thing that has definitely been difficult in Blue Spruce, because when I was in other bands over the years, it was usually me and somebody else, or me and a couple other people writing the music. But with Blue Spruce, it was primarily just me, and it was me writing the songs, it was me recording them, doing the vocals for them, but then also producing the music too, and doing all of the you know, all of the recording, all of the mixing, all of the mastering.
You had a lot of pressure on your shoulders.
Yeah, a lot of pressure, and hearing myself, you know, in headphones or on speakers over and over and over again, it's just like, oh, but is this song really any good at all? Or, you know, I could definitely do a better performance of the guitar or of the saxophone or of the vocals, or, you know, whichever part of the many parts I'm playing on a given song. And then it's just, there's a certain point where I guess probably like 3 years ago now, I think I just kind of got over it, where I'm just like, this is good enough. No one's going to notice that I've done this thing wrong, or, you know, or it's going to add charm to it. Because, you know, if you listen to Beatles songs, or even Arctic Monkey songs, or, you know, other big bands out there, if you become familiar enough with a song, you'll hear like, oh, that's actually a mistake. That thing that I always thought was so endearing is actually a mistake, and you know, things like that.
And then it stays.
Yeah, and then it
It's
stays,
a
and
song
it's nice.
that they say tit 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 a bunch of times.
Oh, that's in Girl.
Okay.
That's in Girl from tit 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 tit. Yeah, and apparently they were struggling not to laugh while singing it, because it was just so silly. I'm just having a giggle. But yeah, and there's a lot of Beatles songs where, like, yeah, there's a wrong note from one member, or, like, you know, an errant note here and there. And I definitely, when I first started working on Blue Spruce songs, as like with the identity of them being Blue Spruce songs, there's one song from our first album, the song "To Live," another one of Matt's favorites. When I was recording it and mixing it, it was just a really big song that it's like 6 minutes long. It has like a 2-minute long sax solo at the end of it. There's just like layers upon layers of guitar in it, and I was just struggling to try to finish it because I'm just like, I feel like it's so close, but it's not quite at. So then I'd add another guitar part to it, and then like after working on it for like months, I just was listening to it in the studio. I was just like, I don't think I'm like, whatever I'm imagining in my head, I don't think I can make that what this is. What this is great, and I think this is at a point where I can release this, and that was how I released it. But like, it's just like, I don't think what I think I hear in my head is possible. And you know, it can be a frustrating thing to come to terms with, and you know, some people just argue like, oh, you should just get somebody else to be your producer and they'll be able to do that for you. But I don't think that's always possible. So
I think a lot of painters,
No one.
I think it was a Picasso always said his work never felt finished.
yeah,
And so like painters have that too. They'll feel like it needs another stroke or another color.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, no, leave it. Like, and
Yeah.
and that's the way I feel about a lot of things too.
Austin.
Austin,
What's
what's up?
Welcome in. Thanks for coming
Little
in.
heart. Joining us now.
We're
yeah.
here with your guy over here, Miles, and we've been really having fun.
Finishing is just a myth.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, we were just talking about you. Yours must be burning, huh?
Only good things, we promise. We were talking about the origins of hotel security when I met you back in the days of working with Nick Jenkins on the music scene back.
You were once a drummer,
back in the day.
once a guitarist, and then you drifted off and started doing your own thing with Matt, and then
Real art is never finished. It's only abandoned. Ooh.
oh yeah, C.S.
Yes.
Murphy would know too.
There you
Like,
know. There you go.
I'm sure he has like a backlog of characters and creatures. He's still like, I don't know about this one.
Exactly. That's a perfect example. That's a good way to look at it too, because if you over obsess over every little thing, you'll always feel like it could have an improvement or something's missing, but it's in your head.
Oh, yeah.
Perfectionist is something that beats us up as artists.
You know what's
yeah.
good too, that remembering what C.S. Murphy used to do was he entered this I guess it was a competition, and you had a limited amount of time to create an art with specific idea or something, and then it's like a circle like of people around you,
Yeah.
just moving around and seeing like multiple artists creating this creation.
Yeah.
But then like at that time limit, once you're done, you're done.
Yeah.
So whether you feel like it's finished or not,
It
it's
is.
the product,
Yeah.
right? So, amazingly, I got my hands on the art that he had made for that.
And it's
that competition,
amazing.
and it's so good.
Oh my god! It would be something like
Art
that.
battle, yeah.
Art battle.
And
I don't think he I don't think he feels like it's done. So, but to me, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
details.
Yeah.
And it was like some kind of like octopus creature
yeah,
ther right?
Yeah, it was like this octopus creature, like, and like
The
it has this
tentacles.
light. And
No,
it's-
it only
it's
has
so
7
cool.
legs. It's not finished. Yeah. Yeah, because I also do pen and ink drawings. That's just another thing that I've done for many years. Definitely inspired by my mom who does oil painting. But with my drawings, I also like. That was where I really the perfectionism hit me way too hard, and I just dove myself into a hole with it, because I do very finely detailed, so minuscule, the spacing between the lines and how wide the lines themselves are. Just get these really fine line drawings, and I was just each picture I was just getting oh, I can make the the space between them even smaller. I'm just huddled over the paper. It was getting exhausting, and it stopped being fun. And there reached a certain point when I'd done a whole bunch of them, and I'd been putting them on Facebook, and I was overthinking it. This was a number of years ago, where I'm just oh, this one only got this many likes this time, and I should do something that's a little bit more accessible. I was having those sorts of thoughts. I'm just I'm literally just drawing in a sketchbook for fun, and I'm worried about how many likes I'm getting on, for
well,
I wasn't going to do anything
one
with it.
buyer.
Yeah.
My dad would always say that you only need one buyer.
Yeah.
He's an antique collector, and he sells antiques. And he's
Yeah.
you only need one buyer.
Yeah.
Right.
I wasn't even trying to sell the stuff, you know.
Yeah.
It was just like I was just doing it what was originally for fun, but I was just psyching myself out over it, and then I took a step back from it for a while, and but then thankfully it's sort of come back in the form of my newfound interest in doing animation and stuff. So.
Speaking of,
Yeah.
you do have a video also that we're going to show you guys. So talk more about that. That's something you got more into with the whole quarantine thing.
Yeah.
So you went into that. So explain how you did that and how that came about.
Yeah. So
What video? I have to set this up. I was not prepared for this
Hey,
one.
we were talking about the video, his video.
I gotta set it up. Hold on.
Okay, while
That's
we
fine.
talk
There's-
about it,
yeah,
while
yeah,
we
yeah.
set the stage
it's
for
fine.
it.
We can. There's two options. We could either do "Disappear," which we heard earlier, or we could do a song for you.
Is it on the Blue Spruce band?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd probably go for a song for you because that's a different song entirely.
It's the one that you guys are on the stairs. And
Oh
it's-
no, that's "Disappear." That one's "Disappear."
That one is
Okay.
so nice.
Yeah, that one was fun.
You drew that.
I drew all of it.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Every single bit of it, except for our heads. Our heads were taken from videos and then just made black and white to match the style.
Oh.
But everything else in it was hand drawn, including the instruments, our bodies, and everything
Chris,
else.
wait until you see it. Murphy.
Yeah, because with when COVID hit, it was like, okay, I'm at home, and I can't do stuff. What it was we were ready to release this song, "A Song for You," which is on our second album, and is available everywhere. And we also released it as a single as well. But when we wanted to release it as a single, we wanted to have a music video for it, and we had planned for one, which was supposed to happen in late March of 2020, and we all know what happened in March of 2020.
Right.
Yeah.
So the shoot got canceled. We had a videographer in mind and everything, a set, a location, and then it couldn't happen. I'm just like, well, I still want to do something, so let me see if I could animate something. And I had this crazy idea for sort of like a steampunk jukebox was the idea, and it was going to play the song, and then it was going to be like the inner workings of this crazy steampunk jukebox with all these gears whirling around and everything.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, and that
we dressed up as steampunk last
Yeah.
Halloween.
Oh yeah. I remember the gears in the hat. And because I've always loved like the steampunk aesthetic.
Me
It works
too.
really well with the sound of Blue Spruce, I feel. And it took me 6 months to put the video together. And we ended up not releasing it until October of 2020, but I'm very proud of that video because Luna and I were talking about rendering and editing, and that took ages to
Oh, I
render
can
because all the different
imagine.
gears and everything, there was so many different elements to it. So when I decided I wanted to do another animated video because it turned out well enough for a song for you. So when we were going to release "Disappear," I was like, I want a music video for this one also. And I changed the idea a couple times because I was struggling to try to be able to actually animate it. But eventually I settled on this haunted house thing, and the house actually is not. I didn't draw it from scratch. What I did with it was, because I just wanted to kind of mess around, I drew a single line, and I took a picture of it, put it on my computer, and then I took that line and then I just manipulated it in a ton of different ways until the house was there. So it was just this one line.
Copy and pasted.
Copy and pasted.
Oh my god.
So many times.
What program did you use to create?
Not one that I should be using.
Just Paint? What-
No. It's Google Drawings.
Oh,
so,
wow.
The Google version of Paint. I always handicap myself with not using the right program for things.
It's a challenge, though.
It's a challenge. It's what you're comfortable with. So I was comfortable with it, even if it wasn't necessarily the best idea, what I should have been doing. But then the video ended up, the house looks great, even though you only get sort of moments of seeing the house itself, and then everything else kind of takes place inside the house. But yeah, that one took only like a month and a half to draw all the elements and animate them. Only that. I would do it again, and I would do it for other people too. But it's my drawing style is sort of like a very specific aesthetic, and I've tried other times to when people have been like, oh, can you draw this, or oh, can you draw that, and I find myself struggling. Like, for example, I can't draw people. People is one thing that I've always never been happy with. I'm just like,
It's
that face looks
hands are
terrible.
really hard.
Hands are tough.
People struggle with hands. I just can't draw like faces or like I was very impressed with my ability to draw just our bodies or a rough approximation of our bodies in the video, but everything else was, it's always been inanimate objects was my thing, like a house or a subway train or a city, like no sweat, no problem with those. But the second it's like an animal or a tree, it's just like, oh god, that's more difficult.
Anatomy, what is this?
Yeah. No, exactly. And even our logo, the blue spruce tree, was I tried drawing a blue spruce tree and I didn't like it enough, so I digitally manipulated it so it was like a mirror image of itself, and that's why it's sort of like got a bit of a glitchy aspect to it, because I tried to draw it, but
we're all about glitches this year, so
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
you haven't noticed with the whole layout and design, so
for sure.
Kimmy! Kelly!
First time
Hello.
chat.
Welcome.
She changed her name again?
Again.
Wait, is it the same?
Is this the same Hime?
Maybe not.
I think it might be.
It's a mystery. Only the chat and time will tell.
Right?
No, it's a different one.
Okay, different one.
Oh no, because she changed her name like twice.
Sorry for the
But
noise.
welcome in. Thanks for being here. Maybe came in with Spruce with Miles.
Welcome.
But we do have the video that he's talking about, and it's really something else because it took you a month to make.
About a month and a half, maybe closer. I've already put it out of my mind because putting it together is never fun, and then at the end of it, it's just like, so with videos, I always felt like a picture is worth 1,000 words, and a video is 1,000 images. Like what story can a video tell?
Yeah.
So that's why. Just trying to read the chat over here, but no, it's all good. But yeah, so I feel like the video will probably do more speaking for itself than I can do it justice with my ums and uhs.
So which video is it?
It's Disappear.
Disappear, this one.
Yep.
Alright, so we're gonna load this
Animated
up in here.
music video.
With YouTube.
Oh hey, look, commercials. Yay!
So,
the best.
Wow. So this is what you made out of quarantine. The time was well spent.
I like to think so.
Alright, so I'll put this at full
all about
screen.
creating. Oh yeah, full speed might be
screen.
important. Oh, full screen, yeah. I thought you meant full speed.
No, that too. Let me load up window capture. You're gonna see a little bit of a glitching in here.
Good glitch.
Let's see, it's gonna be this one.
There it is.
Okay.
All right, here we
Size this up
go.
to frame.
Oh yeah.
Put this inside here. Perfect. All right, let's see how this goes.
All right, here we go. This video was completely done by Miles Blue Spruce.
Can you guys hear this, chat?
I hear it.
Look at all those trees. How long did that take you?
Listen to the music coursing through your veins. Tap your foot along, you really can't complain. Yet you can't see why the people smile
Matt, where'd you go?
when all you feel inside is just the sadness and shame. Listen to the music as you tap your feet. See the shockwaves echo up and down the streets. For the actions and words you said you'd never say, you would hope that you could stall the coming of this day. And now it's here. And now it's finally here. The day you disappear. Listen to the footsteps rushing overhead. The thought of your discovery fills your mind
Drum solo! Oh yeah.
And now it's here. And now it's finally here. The day you disappear. And now it's here. And now it's finally here. The day you disappear. The day you disappear. The day you disappear.
No entry. The cogwheels. So this is the one that took forever to render out.
No, this actually one. This one wasn't. I took elements from the other one so the gears are from the other one.
Ah,
And the trees are from there too.
very nice.
Wow.
That was cool.
Some people learned how to make bread. I learned how to animate.
That's amazing.
Hey, that's a good skill trait to have.
Yeah, yeah.
It really helps pay off, the amount that you would end up having to pay someone to do.
Oh yeah.
And it's your creation, so you feel more, I guess more of it being yours.
It's more
and
satisfying.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
To see
personal,
Very
completed,
personal.
Completed, and the vision that you had is like there now for
Yeah.
you to see and show everyone.
Yeah. No, it's great because it's me presenting what I wanted to show to people without there being somebody else trying to interpret it.
Right.
And that's also what I've done a lot with my music too, where it's just like, I don't necessarily, in the compositional stage, I'm happy, with other musicians, shaping how a song might turn out. But ultimately, when it comes to recording, I tend to have a very laser focused kind of idea of what I want it to sound like, and the sort of impact I want it to have sonically. And so that's why I don't like, I'm afraid of having it colored by somebody else who might be
The wrong shade of blue.
yeah exactly. More of an azure instead of a cobalt.
What's that? Zima Blue?
Zima.
Oh.
It was one of the TV series that we watched, and there was like this specific blue.
Oh, it was Black Mirror.
Black Mirror, yeah.
It was a specific blue, yes.
Oh, I've seen all of Black Mirror. I'm trying
And
to
it was
remember
like
which.
the alien that goes.
So he was an artist, right?
Yeah.
And he made everything in this blue color, and it's his blue because he created this blue.
It was like my favorite shade of bluish green, like a turquoise or like a aquamarine.
It's
Oh
a
yeah, with
Zima
some green
blue.
in it. Zima blue.
But it was
That
Zima
sounds
blue.
very familiar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it was the robot that goes swimming and then he destroys himself. Oh, spoiler alert if you didn't see
Yeah,
that one.
if you haven't watched it,
I think no. I think I do remember.
But it was
yeah.
the last piece of his artwork is
Yeah.
him dying
He's
in
like
front
this-
of a crowd.
Oh yeah,
dark-figured
yes.
guy,
And
and he went to a pool
And then
started
the
swimming.
pool was the color that was meant to be.
Oh, yeah.
And it was
Black
his
Mirror
last.
was so good.
It was his
It's
last
so good.
stand, and then
Loved Black
turns
Mirror.
into this cleaning robot and starts cleaning the pool.
And that was his last form.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I need to go back and watch some because I can't even remember that one. I know I've seen all of them. So, yeah, Black Mirror is great. But yeah, I mean, like, I think of back to, of course, again, the Beatles. Not to bring that up
The
again,
Beatles.
but
I mean,
We
it's
can't talk
influence.
enough about the
It's
Beatles.
the influence. It's
yeah.
what really brought it
It's
together.
one of the core influences. And George Martin was their producer for the vast majority of their music, and he understood and he helped shape them, and he whenever they wanted to try something, he was always like yes. He never he was never like I don't think we should do that. He was like, okay, let's see how we can make this work. You know, that sort of very encouraging way about it. And then, you know, if you've seen the Get Back documentary, you really see in that how disorganized they were. George Martin was around, but they had specifically asked for him not to be producing them, and they were just totally scattered. And ultimately it was produced by Phil Spector, whose work I absolutely loathe. I hate him as a person. I hate him as a producer. People...
hate's a pretty strong word there.
You know, it is.
Coming from you, Miles.
Coming from me, it's very strong. And Matt, I'm sure will tell you. You know, he's probably rolling his eyes because he's heard me complain about Phil Spector so much. But I just what he did to the Let It Be album, I think is really awful. Primarily because it wasn't what the Beatles wanted. You know.
He went outside the idea.
He went in the complete opposite direction. They wanted something stripped back, just the four of them, and then he went and put, you know, without their permission, just orchestras, choirs on top of it. It was the polar opposite of what they had been going for as the goal of the album, and just the fact that he did that with, you know, just like no, and of course the story is more complicated than that, but like ultimately I just felt like there wasn't a lot of respect.
He's doing life in prison for what he did for that album.
Oh man!
Not to mention the murder. I believe that he. I think he passed away.
He murdered the album. That's what.
Yeah, he murdered the album.
No.
That's what it was.
Oh, no.
No, he did. I mean, honestly, like if you listen to Let It Be Naked, which was Paul's Paul McCartney's rethink of what the album was originally intended to be. That to me the difference is night and day.
Yeah.
And the day is Let It Be Naked. The songs just sound so much better on there. And just like, and I listened to the original Let It Be album after watching the Get Back documentary, and just like everything about the album to me is just awful, from the way the songs were produced to just like the order of the songs makes no sense to me. Just like you know, they put like a bunch of weak ones early on. Definitely not my favorite. Definitely not my favorite. I mean, I love a lot of the songs on the album. That's the thing. I Me Mine is definitely one of my favorite songs. Maybe not in my top 5, but definitely in like the top 15, I would say. That's on there. And you know,
which is your favorite Beatles song to cover?
To cover. That's a good.
Yes.
Yes.
Right?
That is a really good question. I'm trying to. What I've wanted to do for a very long time is a very authentic cover of Eleanor Rigby with the proper strings and everything in there.
Yeah.
Haven't gotten around to it, but I don't really have too much excuse because I have all the friends to be able to make that happen. One thing that I really like about what I've done with Blue Spruce over the years is originally it was mostly me playing most of the instruments, but I've since expanded well beyond that because I've realized like I can't play everything, and I also can't play everything as well as I might want something to be played, because you know, whereas I have the experience on saxophone, I don't especially on guitar. You know, I don't consider myself much of a guitarist. You know, I have guitar solos and I play guitar in my band all the time, but I don't think I'm a particularly good guitar player because I
roll the clip, and then he's like,
no, yeah, because you know, I talk.
Let's see this real quick. Let's bring this back here.
You're Blue Spruce.
Look at this. Look at this guy.
Look at this.
Watch him go. Watch him. We'll go to where he starts going off. Hey, look at him.
That's what I'm saying.
Look
Go Miles.
at him.
Get it.
I say again, I'm not good at playing guitar.
Definitely not a good guitarist.
Untold crimes. Your tongue sticks back.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
I had to show you guys.
Yeah, but I mean,
Humble too. Very like, you know.
yeah. you know, but with guitar, I think because I have so many friends who are like guitar players, I feel like a lot of me learning how to play guitar was me just playing it, how it made sense to me, and somebody saying, "That's the wrong way to do it. You're doing it wrong, or you should be doing it this way, or like your fingers shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be, you know, this, that, or the other thing." So I just feel like I've gotten a lot of negative feedback to move forward with guitar, so it's probably put me down a little bit with it. But I mean, it doesn't stop me from playing because it's fun and it's the my main songwriting tool. But
at the end of the day, you play it the way you want to play it because you're making the music, and that's what's coming out of the guitar is your expression of what you're writing and what you're making. So it's like someone saying your technique is horrible for me as a drummer.
Right.
It works for me.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
and that it definitely does come back down to that, because like even a rhythm guitar part played by one person versus another person can sound totally different. And certainly from being an audio engineer and recording other people, knowing one thing that I really learned from recording other people in the studio is that making sure that just the general vibe of the studio is good can change a performance completely from the same person. Because the second they receive some sort of bad news or something like that, all the takes after that are going to be trash. And it's nothing that you can help, it's nothing that they can help. It's just like once the vibe is gone, or like the mood is wrong, you're not going to get good takes out of somebody. So even insofar as that, but going back to playing the parts myself, I realized at some point, like, other people should be on these albums too. Like going back to like it's not just all about me thing. So for our second album, when we started really recording the tracks and mixing them and everything, I had this thought, like, what if we had string arrangements on some of these songs, because some of them could lend themselves really nicely to that. I knew a violinist, I knew a viola player, I knew a cellist, and through that cellist I met another violinist, so I had a sort of a string quartet, and I was just like, I had taken a class on how to write for string quartets for pop music in college, so I looked back to some of those old training documents and stuff. Shout out to the Sonic Art Center for teaching me everything I know about audio engineering. And I'm sad because they've since actually discontinued that particular class, which I found extremely useful for myself personally. And I wrote these very elaborate string sections for these musicians to play on, and they really enhance. You can hear it on a number of the songs from our second album, The Poison and the Ice. There's at least 4 or 5 songs on there that have these just very elaborate string arrangements that you don't necessarily hear string arrangement, violins and cellos and stuff super prominent in the mix of like alternative rock or indie rock and things like that. But it's just like, not all of my songs are hard rock songs. They're
easy listening.
They're easy. Yeah. They're somewhere in between.
Yeah.
And even the ones that are hard rock, like, sometimes a string section can lend itself really well.
It gives a vibe to the song. Yeah,
it can add a totally different vibe, and I've experimented with it more drastically. Maybe drastically isn't the right word, but more extensively on some of the B-sides that we've released for some of our singles. All the B-sides that we have on the A Song for You EP, and one of the songs I'm going to play a little bit later on, the recorded version of it. The specific goal I had in mind was I wanted it to sound like a 36-piece string orchestra, 32 or 36-piece. So I had these 4 musicians track the same part over and over and over again, and I had the idea specifically, what if I gave them, it's the same part over and over again that they're playing, but what if I gave them like a prompt, like pretend to be, but I wanted them to have some level of freedom with it still. So rather than just being like, okay, play it aggressively this time, or like, play it weakly this time, I gave them like a whole like sort of like miniature persona, like your name is Brooke, and you're newer to the ensemble, you're still trying to prove something to the group, and you've been late to a bunch of rehearsals lately, and you're here for this recording session, you really wanted to go, like, so I wanted the musicians to sort of be actors, as they were to play these different roles, to really and how that shaped the way that they played it was kind of up to them. Mm-hmm. And I it was this whole elaborate thing where I wrote out all these things, I sent all these parts to them, I send out all these prompts. I'm just like, okay, so and just name the file like this, so when you send it back to me, I'll know what, which imaginary person it is. And then I was just like,
this is Brooke, who was late to X amount of rehearsals and played very nervously for this section.
.mp3. Yeah. No, but and I was like, is this a waste of time to do all of this? But then, sure enough, when I just put it all into Pro Tools or whatever, and then I just listened to the raw tracks, I'm like, this actually sounds like a lot more than 4 people playing. And I was just like, it was very satisfying to, because as an audio engineer and a musician, you like to try to test things out and see if some different things work. Sometimes it's good to not just do the same thing over and over and over again. So that was where I wanted to try to do something differently, and I think it paid off. It sounds like a lot of people.
Leading into the next section would be from your audio engineering background.
Yeah.
You are now or working on opening up a studio for yourself.
Yes.
That musicians can go and record.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Because at a certain point, I always wanted to have the capability to record, to have that. Let me back up. I'm psyching myself out here with this answer. When I was at the Sonic Arts Center,
I'm excited about hearing this.
Yeah, when I was at the Sonic Arts Center, which was where I went to college and learned everything that I know about audio engineering. They have really wonderful facilities there where you're allowed to record stuff for your own projects, not just for projects that you're working on for class. You can record anything you want there. The studios were open 24/7. There were Google calendars, and you could just book a room and just use the room for hours on end and just work on your skills or work on whatever. And I spent so much time there. They had drum kits, they had amps, they had all this stuff.
Taking notes.
Oh yeah, I took full advantage, and microphones. They had everything, and I used those facilities so much. And I loved recording there, and it was great. But then eventually, I graduated. I didn't have that resource anymore.
Yeah.
For a while, I was still able to. I knew some of the students who were in years below me, and I was still able to get in through them for a while, but eventually it was like, okay, I don't have that anymore, and now I'm at a point where it's like I don't have a place or a way to record drums, and drums are the basis of a lot of the vast majority of our songs, and I didn't want to have to pay a space just to use it, and I'm paying by the hour for some place. I wanted to do something a little bit more than that, and part of me wanted kind of like complete control over the whole thing, and from there the idea expanded, like if I built and the dream partly was always like I'd love to have my own recording studio, knowing that it's sort of an art that's kind of dying out in the age of so many people just producing things from their apartments or from their living rooms. But there's
such a difference.
There is such a. There's a difference, but at the same time, you have songs like what's it called, "Bad Guy" by Billie Eilish. That was done in, that's a mega hit that was just done in their bedroom or whatever. Produced by her brother, and it's like, it's definitely not to be discounted. And plenty of Blue Spruce stuff has been recorded from my living room or bedroom, from different places that I've lived. But at the same time, like, I want there to be a place where I can record everything I want to record, but also to be able to do that for other people as well. Because that was one thing that I appreciated so much about the Sonic Arts Center, was they not only let you do your own stuff there, but you could bring in other people and record them there.
Oh, that's so special.
Yeah, because it really let you have the opportunity to start building your client base while you were still learning, so that by the time you actually left the program, you potentially already had a whole bunch of clients waiting for you,
and connections and people that you want to work with.
Yeah. So much of that, and I did have that, and I was able to get a lot of that out of it. But then I didn't really have a place to go after it, and there was a large amount that I was still able to do just from home, but for me, it always came back to the fact, like, I can't record drums in my apartment, you know.
Yeah.
An apartment in New York City, you know, it's not.
Oh, this is electronic.
yeah. It's but it's still a serious setup. But so it was something, and also just even saxophone, like, you know, with an electric guitar and acoustic guitar, like with an electric guitar you could just turn the volume down. It's not as loud and, you know, awful for your neighbors. With saxophone, when I moved to New York City.
But I would think
playing
that
sax
that's
will probably be a lot.
no. But I mean, I've seen videos also of people like playing saxophone on their fire escape, and people are just like going out and just listening.
Yeah,
it's so beautiful.
Yeah, I mean,
and they're like, "Oh, I got this sax." Remember my nephew? He lived in a building where there was a saxophone player. He's like, "Thank God, this guy's such a good saxophone player."
Right.
Yeah,
because he is putting me the vibes right now.
Yeah,
right?
I was just always. Again, with saxophone in particular, maybe because it was my first instrument, I was always so self-conscious about it. And so like when I was practicing, I didn't like anybody else hearing it, or like, you know, like especially if I was just playing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. It's just like, you know, I'm waiting for somebody to say, yeah. I know how to play Careless Whisper, but
do you wear a mullet when you
is
play?
that like that's like the
tight leather
Radiohead
pants.
creep, right? Of the saxophone players.
It's either that or Pink Panther. The Pink Panther theme
Oh.
song. Yeah. I did busking for a number of years, which made me feel a little bit better about playing saxophone out in front of other people. But at the same time, it was still, you know, that like when I moved to the city, the amount that I was practicing saxophone just dropped so drastically, and you know. So now I've started renting out a space in Long Island City, and I've been building out the room. So it was one large room, and I'm building 2 rooms inside of that room to make it as soundproof as possible.
A room inside of a room.
Yes, a room inside of a room, and it looks like we've got a raid.
Awesome Prime coming in with the raid.
What's up, Awesome Prime?
Welcome.
What up, Raiders?
So much for coming in. We're here with an amazing artist from New York City. He's a multi-instrumental artist, okay? He sings, plays piano, guitar, saxophone, bass, guitar,
Drums.
He's
Guitar.
Also a drummer, guys. Also a drummer.
Yes.
And he's building a studio also here in New York City. So he's telling us all about that. And he's also going to perform for us in a little bit. But right now he's just telling us how he's building the studio, and it's amazing to hear how he's leveling up.
Oh yeah, I am definitely leveling up with
Big time.
with the studio, because you know, it's not even just like I hired people to or you know, just sort of like doing what I knew how to do. I've gained so many new skills building the studio from literally from scratch, like, you know, framing a floor and walls and a ceiling and hanging
I see
drywall.
one picture that on your Instagram where it's like you still see like the wood part, and you're like, yeah, I'm building this thing like from the ground up.
From the ground up, the insulation in the walls, everything. You know, the one thing I'm not touching is the electricity. Shout out to my buddy Garrett, who's been doing all the electrical work for the space. But yeah, so I'm building 2 rooms inside an existing room to make sure that there's, you know, people talk about things being soundproof, and it's like it's so difficult to make something actually soundproof and like actually isolate sound so that you can't hear something on one side of a wall from the other, but that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to go all the way with that. So I've got these walls that are just so thick to try to prevent any sound from getting through them. And you know, 2 layers of doors.
Wow.
You know, and it's taken a long time. It's taken longer than that animated music video I made. Because it's
good things take time. Really,
good things take time. Yeah, and you know, we're getting closer and closer to the finish line on it. But it's just like, you know, I was there earlier today working there with my wife, who you know, she's been incredible. She's been there with me. Shout out to Sasha if she hasn't gone to bed already. We both have work tomorrow, but but it's all good. I'm definitely
we're nearing our time soon. So
oh yeah. Okay, but you know, she's been there with me almost every single day. You know, not doing necessarily the, you know, the holding up of the sheetrock to the ceiling, or all of that, but like certainly all the measuring, she's very much the measure twice, cut once mentality.
Yeah, that's the best
which
way.
I like to think I am, but she, as my better half, she proves that is not always the case.
Yeah, you always gotta double check those things.
Gotta
always.
double check, and the studio's really coming along, and it's going to be this. Ultimately, my hope for it is that it's going to be both. So there's two rooms. There's what I'm calling the live room, and then there's the control booth or the control room. And the idea is that you can either use them together, so to have one person recording from one room and the artist or the musicians are in the other room, or they can function completely independently of each other. So somebody could be producing something in the control room, meanwhile a band could be rehearsing in the live room, and they could just not hear each other at all, and nobody
Complete
outside
silence.
of the room, and nobody outside of either room would hear them either.
Well, that's good.
So that's the it's a mixed use building. Got a new follower.
Cap the cleaner.
Cap the cleaner.
Thank you for the follow.
Thank you so much for the.
He says, "Hello, I know what he's talking about because I build custom Bluetooth speakers."
Wow.
That sounds
that'll do it.
crazy. Yeah, that's intense. Doing anything from scratch is like is such a thing. Like we think we know everything, but then it's just like, okay, but do we actually know how our phones work, or like how a microwave works? Like things that we use every single day, or like building your typical house or building or a room or something, like takes a certain amount of work, but trying to build a soundproof one, I found is just like
there's
it's
a lot involved.
There's so much involved in it, and I've sort of bumped into all of the obstacles along the way, but we've gotten through it, and I'm hoping that the studio is going to open within the next month or two. That's
I'm
the
excited.
Wow,
Could
that's
I
amazing.
get a first run in there and bring my kid in there?
Oh
and-
yeah.
and do a YouTube video of me drumming to something.
Hell yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Bring the cameras over.
Oh yeah. But yeah, because I've done a really poor job of advertising it throughout the process of me building it. There's so many progress photos that I have, but I haven't
What's
shared
the
a lot
name?
of them
Well,
out.
we got to start promoting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
keep an
it's-
eye on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be called Blue Spruce Audio Studio. So
Woo, let's
Nice.
go.
BSAS, BSAS, if you want to call it something. But so Blue Spruce Audio Studio. I created the Gmail account for it a long time ago.
Let's go.
Yeah, let us know. We'll swing by, do a vlog. She
Oh,
can
yeah.
live
for
stream it for
sure.
an
Like,
IRL.
it is
absolutely.
here, guys.
Yeah.
Book today.
We are here in Long Island City, yeah. But yeah, and a lot of thought went into the location and everything else. Like I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think that I could actually offer a good service to people, because that's the other thing is recording for me. It's been so great for Blue Spruce, that the fact that I know how to do all this stuff myself, it saved us so much money from having to hire somebody else to do it, and again, the vision not necessarily being quite right. But as an audio engineer, I want to be able to produce other people, and people have told me that I'm very good at listening to what they want.
It sounds
and
amazing
what
in
they're
the
looking
car.
for.
I listen to the music in the car.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, like, so that's you.
Yeah,
That's you doing the work.
but if it's somebody else and it's somebody else's music, I want it to sound like them, not for it to sound like me. And people have given me the feedback that like, you've made this sound how I wanted it to sound, and like how grateful they are to that. And I love that. Like I was saying before, I love making other people happy. So the idea of being able to produce music for somebody else, which is a goal of so many people, but it's so far away for people who don't know about audio engineering, or that whole, or they're not interested. They can't be bothered to learn how to use Pro Tools, or know which microphone to use on their voice versus their guitar versus the drums, and all that. I'd love to just be the fly on the wall that records them and makes them sound how they want to sound at the but not for the cost of what a super expensive studio is gonna charge them. And
Right.
that's why a lot of these big studios have gone out of business, I think, is because they just
Costs.
the costs are so great, and the fact that you can get something that's 90% there from your home is certainly a big turnoff, and I think a lot of
coming from the 2 albums that from Hotel Security, as is, just hearing it in the car and stuff, having my drums being done in my bedroom,
and
that alone just says a lot about like the quality of of a producer that you are in helping to bring out the audio that we're looking for in the band. So and just for using just those rough tracks to get those on there, so that says a lot about your skills. So if you guys heard any of my band's music, that's his mixing and his
making
mastering.
money coming in clutch with the Hotel Security right there. Yep. He produced that. That's him. So when you go listen to that on Spotify tonight, and also go follow Hotel Security and Blue Spruce, because the singer of Blue Spruce is also in the band.
Yes.
Is in both bands. Is the singer of Hotel Security, and he plays the keyboard. He's the keyboardist and the backup vocalist. So look at that. There's like a marriage there. There's
it's the bloodlines run deep between the 2 bands.
We're family.
We are family. Yes. But no forced family fun. It's all wanted. But
I'm excited to see that flourish and you launching that, and I wish the best that everything works out in your favor and things work.
And they've things have worked out well enough so far without the place actually being open yet. But me being able to produce for other people, so many different bands over the years, and I just can't wait to do that for other people as well, and do that knowing that I'm doing it in a space that I'm super comfortable with, that we could, I'm not running on somebody else's schedule. It's just like, okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna go to my studio. We're gonna use my microphones. I know that this is gonna work the right way, and I know that this is gonna get the sound that you're looking for. Just first listening to what it is that they want, and then from there, making all the mental choices of like, okay, we want to use this type of close mic setup for the drums versus a farther away thing, or you want to use this type of vocal microphone versus this one, or I'm gonna process your vocals or your guitar this way versus this way, all based on the things that you're telling me. Like, I make all those sorts of decisions, and it'll just feel so much better to do that when I'm in a space which is like sort of definitively mine, and that just like has that feel to it. So
Matt
looking forward to
Scarfield,
that.
thank you for the resub.
Thanks for coming
Hey.
Good stuff.
6 months, half a year.
Matt Scarfield is an amazing drummer here on Twitch, and
He's touring now.
he's out and about doing his thing, which is awesome.
Good stuff.
With some big names too.
Got to get him back on the podcast again. It's only been yesterday since we had him on.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Good stuff.
A lot of stories.
So we're at our final couple of minutes here on the podcast. If there's any last minute questions, chat. If you guys will throw some questions in there for Miles before we have him set us off with some music. Baby, if you have the last questions you want to throw out?
So with the studio and everything, is there a genre that you're going to focus on?
So in the past, I have opened myself up to all sorts of different things. I've recorded a wide variety of different artists, everything from rock, which is what I'm most comfortable with and deal with on a more day-to-day basis, to hip hop and rap, as well as, but then going in the other direction with more folk, jazz, pop, anything I can really get involved with, because I just love the experience and the challenge of working with different genres. I mean, in general, I would say I tend more towards rock or bands specifically, because I have more fun with the dynamic of different people in the bands, and figuring out like, okay, do we want to track this all together? Are we going to do it all separately? And I love that, but really I don't think it's going to be specific to any one thing. And my goal is for the studio to be as flexible as possible. So if somebody wants to do one thing, we'll set everything up one way, versus if a different act wants to do something else, we're going to set things up completely differently. And I'm totally open to that, and I want to be able to get to that sort of level of flexibility where I can record in a perfect world, like, record anybody in any style doing anything, that's.
So you're comfortable going outside the box, doing all different kinds of genres.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I think there's a fun challenge to it that I sort of like very willingly embrace, and even if I'm less experienced with it, I'll charge you less. You
learn new techniques along the way too.
That's
So.
true.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's there's nothing better for just getting more experience and honing your skills farther than
Is a question.
Oh yeah.
It says, Miles, what are some insight into directing a band, a green under a year band?
What's good ways to establish a practice etiquette?
That's a good question.
Yeah, definitely. That's a very good question. As somebody who's been part of a band for many years,
Multiple bands.
Yeah.
Multiple bands, sometimes at the same time, and seen so many bands, last for different periods of time, and unfortunately seen a number of bands, dissolve for one reason or another. Blue Spruce has been going strong for like 6 years now, and sure, it hasn't always been all the same people in the band, but I would say one of the most important things is really making sure that the people that you're working with are that's almost more important than the music that not more important than the music that you're making, but being in a band is not just about the music. It's also very much so about the people that are in the band, and the dynamics that they have with each other, and the ability for people to work with each other, because it really makes it's like what I was saying before about if you're in a recording studio and you're recording something and somebody gets some bad news and all of a sudden their performance isn't good anymore because they're distracted. That same thing applies to rehearsals and shows and everything like that, because if you're it's really applicable to anything in life where if you're at a job where you're working with people that you don't like, you're not going to have a good time. There's only so much fun that you can have there. Not everybody's always looking for fun at their job, but the idea of music is it's supposed to be fun, and if you're working with people who don't make it feel like it's fun, then that's when there can be issues, and if you don't resolve those either with strong communication or things like that, then really
Communication's key.
Communication is so key.
Because you can have fun making music and playing stuff, but then when you're in a band, you're in a band together as like brothers and sisters, right?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
You're a family.
Very, very close.
So if there's someone that's at a line, acting in a certain way, you have to have the conversation. It might not be a comfortable conversation, but as long as you have the conversation to communicate that, you did your part in expressing how you feel, especially, and also vice versa with the other individual. And if that doesn't work out and you don't hit that agreement,
right,
then there's gonna have to be some changes, because then you're not gonna be comfortable and the other person's not gonna be comfortable.
Yeah.
But at least where you both stand.
No, there has to be a level of and it depends on how the band is, because if it's one person is the band leader and everybody else is sort of orbits around that's a different dynamic. If that's what's established, that's going to be a different dynamic than if everybody consider themselves equals in the group, because then perspectives or ultimately what the final decision is going to be greatly influenced. It's sort of the difference between like a monarchy versus a democracy. That's typically what comes up in bands a lot of the time, and I've always tried to frame Blue Spruce as much more of a democracy, because if 4 people are telling me that what I think is a good idea is the wrong idea, it's like, okay, I can't ignore that,
Right. Especially if it's people that you're close with.
Yeah. If it's people that I'm close with that are telling me what they honestly feel is the case, it's like, okay, I can't just discount that. Like, there must be something to that. So
does one bad apple ruin the whole batch? And are you as strong as your weakest link?
I think I actually don't think that's quite the case with music, because I think that But one of the things I love about audio engineering is that you can a lot of it is hiding and masking things at like every opportunity.
I mean, how many bands had one really difficult like band member, right? And then it's like no one knew about it because the music, the chemistry, the dynamics was powerful.
Absolutely. And even in a recording, like a part cannot be played well, but or alternately, if you listen to a single instrument that's soloed, it sounds like garbage by itself, but in the mix of everything else, it works perfectly. That's one thing that I love so much about audio engineering is like it's just like, yeah, but listen to my vocals by themselves and you can hear like, a mistake here or there, or like you can hear where I stretch my vocals and there's a weird effect on them. But the second you
clashing together, but then if it doesn't clash, then you're fine as a whole mix. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, even if there's somebody in there who doesn't it doesn't feel like they're pulling their weight, like it can be hidden in there very very sneakily, because again, music is such a complex thing. There's so many different layers of the sound. Sonically, what might be a problem by itself is not a problem in the grand scheme of it.
I mean, look at a lot of pop stars that it's like they have everything else, right? And then, like, you need a
auto tune
or something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, I think very rarely is it ever just one person who is at fault too, because it takes two to tango. So usually they're a conflict doesn't just come from one person. It's when there's different ideas clashing sometimes, and
that's generally it, the ideas itself.
And I gotta ask this question because you've been in a few bands,
yes.
So 5 bands, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when there was a clash, or there was someone that you felt like didn't fit, either
Mm-hmm.
whether it was musically or their energy wasn't into it anymore, and you didn't, how did you go about it? Was it like a congregation of how do we tell this person, like, okay, I think maybe you're not the right fit? Like, how did you go about that?
The best thing to do is to actually talk about it, because avoiding it or bringing it up, prolonging it in any way just makes it fester. And or bringing it up in a half-assed way, or in a passive aggressive way, that's not going to help. People in Blue Spruce will, the other band members will tell you that there have been times where I've literally had like sort of like band therapy sessions where it's literally all of us is just like, we just need to talk open and honestly with each other right now. Like
the voice of reason.
Band therapy is actually a good idea.
No, it's really good. It can be very helpful, because not everybody is good at talk. Sometimes people have a lot of difficulty voicing their feelings if they don't feel like they're in a space where they can do that. So creating that space can really help.
Is it the band AA meeting where
it's I have no experience in therapy or psychology or anything like that, but giving people the opportunity to just say what they're thinking or what they're feeling is so much better than not letting them say that, and it just because then their playing is going to get worse because they're going to feel like they're not valued in the band, or it's going to blow up in some way, and addressing it directly is honestly, I feel, the best approach to doing that, and just being transparent and honest with them. If it's just like, I've had lots of long conversations with different members of different bands that I've been in, just being like I don't think what we're doing is working right now, and this is why I think that it's not working, but I want to hear what you, if first of all, if you think that anything's not working at all, because maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just imagining this, and maybe for you there's nothing wrong, because then that's a totally different situation than if people being on the same page is very important.
Yeah,
is this
page.
during like a practice session, or is this during like a $300 dinner? When does this conversation happen?
After the oysters, please. Yeah, no. I think typically when you're having these discussions, it's best to have them not when you're also in rehearsal with instruments, because then somebody could start playing something and interrupt somebody else. That happens regularly during rehearsal. So that could be even worse when you're trying to have a real conversation conversation. So I think it's good to meet outside and also in person.
Yeah.
I think that is really important, because trying to do something over a call or via a text conversation can really
text is the worst.
Yeah, text is the my last email. It really, you have to. It has to be in person.
Don't be that
guy. No.
Please advise.
Doing it face to face is really
respectfully.
It's a lot more.
Well, you get the
respectful that
tone,
way.
you get the
all of it.
expression.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important, and there's a technical question here.
Yeah,
In your professional audio opinion, what company makes the best graphic equalizer? That's very specific.
Cat the Cleaner.
Yes. Therapy good. That's right. Yes. We trauma dumped hard. Yes.
Damn.
So sometimes. Yes, we did. Matt will be the first to tell you he's been there. To answer the graphic EQ question, that's a specific one. I don't always think that more complicated plugins are the way to go. For me, honestly, I really love Logic's stock graphic equalizer. Absolutely. G-Sti? I don't know. Giastia 318. Absolutely. Happy to help however I can. But I really love Logic's stock equalizer, because it just feels very accurate to me.
It's
I don't know. It's a very clean interface. A lot of it's Logic is made by Apple, and they always have a very sort of clean appearance to things. But I also find